Just a few housekeeping issues. The proceedings are in English. Fortunately, we have a team of interpreters who will assist us so that every one of us understand what is going on. Secondly, the starting hours is still something that we're going to work on. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. It was supposed to have been 10 in the morning. Unfortunately, there were hiccups. That's why we're only starting now. But we shall sort this out during the course of the day, what hours we will be starting.
As a court pleases.
And the third thing, I'm sitting with assessors, and I would like to swear them in. Please stand up for the record. Please state your full names.
Janet Ensign de Toy?
Do you have any objection against taking the oath?
No.
Do you swear that you will, on the evidence placed upon you, give a true verdict upon the issues to be tried? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you. Please stand for the oath. State your full names for the record.
Temba Simon Mazibo.
Do you have any objection against taking the oath?
No.
Do you swear that you will, on the evidence placed before you, give a true verdict upon the issues to be tried? If so, please raise your right hand and say, "So help me God."
So help me God.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Yes, Mr. Nell.
Please, the court, lady, would the court prefer that I read out the charges against the accused?
Yes, the accused is English speaking?
Indeed, my lady.
Yes, you may do so.
The first count against the accused, count 1, is one of murder, read with the provisions of section 51(1) of Act 105 of 1997. In that, upon or about 14 February 2013, and at or near 286 Bushvilla Street, Silverwoods Country Estate, Silver Lakes, in the district of Pretoria, the accused did unlawfully and intentionally kill a person, to wit, Riva Steenkamp, a 29-year-old female.
Yes. That is count 1.
That's count 1.
Yes. Do you understand the charges, Mr. Pistorius?
I do, my lady.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, my lady.
Thank you.
Please, the court and lady, count number 2, contravention of section 127 of the Firearms Control Act, Act number 60 of 2000. In that, the accused is guilty of the offence of contravention, of contravening the provisions of section 127, read with section 1, 103, 121A, section 121, read with schedule 4, and section 151 of the Firearms Control Act 60 of 2000, discharge of a firearm in a build-up area or any public place. My lady, I have to start the proceedings by asking that this charge be amended.
Yes.
There's a typing error.
Yes.
I'll read it. In that, honor upon 30 September 2012, my lady, the indictment reads 2010, and that's just a typing error, as can be seen from the alternative count. There's a reference to 2012.
Yes, so it should be amended to 2010.
30 September 2012, my lady.
12.
Yes, my lady.
That's the first. Oh, yes, I'm looking at the wrong one. That's count number 2.
Indeed, my lady.
Okay, it is amended.
I'll then read it again.
I should have asked if there are any objections.
There is no objection. Thank you, my lady.
Thank you very much.
I'll then read it again, my lady. In that, on or about 30 September 2012, and whilst driving in a vehicle with other passengers on a public road at or near Modderfontein in the district of Kempton Park, the accused did unlawfully discharge a firearm without good reason to do so by firing a shot with his own 9mm pistol through the open sunroof of the car they were travelling in.
How do you understand the charge?
I do, my lady.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, my lady.
Thank you.
Lady, count 2 as an alternative, contravention of section 123B of the Firearms Control Act, number 60 of 2000. That the accused is guilty of the offence of contravening the provisions of section 123B, read with sections 1, 103, 121A, section 121, read with schedule 4, and section 151 of the Firearms Control Act 60 of 2000, reckless endangerment. That reads, in that, on or about 30 September 2012, and at or near Modderfontein in this district of Kempton Park, The accused, in circumstances mentioned in count 2 above, discharged a firearm, to wit his 9mm pistol, with reckless disregard for the other passengers in the car and or people in the vicinity.
Do you understand the charge that has been read out?
I do, my lady.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, my lady.
Thank you.
There's a court, my lady, count 3. That's a contravention of section 127 of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000. That the accused is guilty of the offence of contravening the provisions of section 127, read with section 1, 103, 121A, section 121, read with schedule 4, and section 151 of the Firearms Control Act 60 of 2000, discharge of a firearm in a build-up area or any public place. Charge reads, my lady, in that during January 2013 and at Tasha's restaurant Melrose Arch in the district of Johannesburg, the accused unlawfully discharged a firearm, to wit a Glock 27 pistol, without any good reason to do so. Tasha's restaurant is a public place.
You've heard the charge that was just read out. Do you understand the charge?
I do, my lady.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, my lady.
There's an alternative to count 3, a first alternative, my lady. Contravention of section 123A of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000. That the accused is guilty of the offence of contravening the provisions of section 123A, read with sections 1, 103, 121A, section 121, read with schedule 4, and section 151 of Firearms Control Act 60 of 2000, negligent damage to property. In that, on or about January 2013, and at or near Tasha's restaurant Melrose Arch in the district of Johannesburg, the accused negligently used a firearm, to wit a Glock 27 pistol, and caused damage to the floor of the restaurant.
Do you understand the alternative count?
I do, my lady.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, my lady.
Lady, there's a second alternative to count 3. Contravention of section 123B of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000. That the accused is guilty of the offence of contravening the provisions of section 123B, read with sections 1, 103, 121A, section 121, read with schedule 4, and section 151 of the Firearms Control Act 60 of 2000, reckless endangerment. In that, on or about January 2013, and at or near Tasha's restaurant Melrose Arch in the district of Johannesburg, the accused discharged a firearm, to wit a Glock 27 pistol, at the table in the restaurant amongst other patrons in a manner likely to endanger the safety of the people at his table and or other patrons and the property of the restaurant. The accused had, in discharging the firearm that was mentioned, shown a reckless disregard for the safety of the patrons or property of the restaurant.
Do you understand the count?
I do, my lady.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, my lady.
Thank you.
My lady, and then finally count 4. Contravention of section 90 of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000. That the accused is guilty of the offence of contravening the provisions of section 90, read with section 1, 103, 117, 121A, section 121, read with the schedule 4 and section 151 of the Firearms Control Act 60 of 2000, and further read with section 250 of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977, possession of ammunition related. It reads, in that, on or about 16 February 2013, and at or near 286 Bushfellow Street, Silverwoods Country Estate, Silver Lakes, in the district of Pretoria, the accused did unlawfully have in his possession ammunition, to wit 38.38 rounds, without being the holder of a license in respect of the firearm capable of discharging the ammunition, a permit to possess ammunition, C, a dealer's license, manufacturer's license, gunsmith license, import, export, or in transit permit, or a transporter's permit issued in terms of the Act, or D, or is otherwise authorized to do so. Right, that's count 4, and that completes the indictment.
Yes. How do you understand count 4?
I do, my lady.
How do you plead?
Not guilty, my lady.
Not guilty. Mr. Roo, is this in accordance with your instruction?
That is indeed, sir. Thank you, my lady.
Any explanation of
My
plea?
lady, Mr. Oldwaits will do the read the explanation into the record.
Thank you very much.
My lady, with the court's leave, I propose to hand up 3 original versions of the Section 115 plea explanation,
Yes.
which have been signed, as you will note, on the last page of the document by our client. I will also favour the State with a copy of this very same document.
Yes, please proceed. Yes, you may
With your
proceed.
ladyship's leave, might I then proceed to read it into the record?
Yes.
I'm indebted. In the High Court of South Africa, Gauteng Division, Pretoria, case number CC 113/13, in the matter between the State and Oscar Leonard Carl Pistorius, the accused, explanation of plea in terms of Section 115 of Act 51 of 1977, I, the undersigned Oscar Leonard Carl Pistorius, hereby furnish the following explanation of the plea with reference to the charges to which I plead not guilty. At count 1, murder, read with the provisions of Section 51, subsection 1 of Act 105 of 1977. Paragraph 1. In its formulation of this count, the State has contended that I unlawfully and intentionally killed Reva Steenkamp, hereinafter referred to as Reva. Paragraph 2. This allegation is denied in the strongest terms. In fact, at the time of the tragic accident which led to Reva's death, we were in a loving relationship. Paragraph 3. Whilst I admit that I inflicted the fatal gunshot wounds to Reva, this occurrence was indeed an accident in that I had mistakenly believed that an intruder or intruders had entered my home and posed an imminent threat to Reva and me. Paragraph 4. In my application for bail, I concisely dealt with the events of 14 February 2013. I am advised that I will have an opportunity to deal with a comprehension version of the events when I testify. For purposes of my plea explanation, I emphasize the following. Paragraph 4.1. During the early hours of the morning, I brought 2 fans in from the balcony. I had shortly before spoken to Reva, who was in bed beside me. 4.2. Unbeknown to me, Reva must have gone to the toilet and the bathroom at the time when I brought in the fans, closed the sliding doors, and drew the blinds and the curtains. 4.3. I heard the bathroom window sliding open. I believed that an intruder or intruders had entered the bathroom through the bathroom window, which was not fitted with burglar bars. 4.4. I approached the bathroom armed with my firearm so as to defend Reva and I. At that time, I believed Reva was still in the bed. 4.5. The discharging of my firearm was precipitated by a noise in the toilet, which I, in my fearful state, knowing that I was on my stumps, unable to run away or properly defend myself physically, believed to be the intruder or intruders coming out of the toilet to attack Reva and me. Paragraph 5. I respectfully believe that the State has no basis whatsoever for alleging that I wanted to take Reva's life. I will demonstrate hereunder that notwithstanding the fact that all the objective evidence will corroborate my version of the events, the State has embarked on a strategy to rely on unsubstantiated allegations in an endeavor to prove that I wanted to kill Reva. Paragraph 6. The strategy was also employed at my bail application. I will hereunder concisely deal with some of the material aspects to support my contention herein. Paragraph 7. At my bail application, the State, inter alia, contended that I deliberately shot Reva whilst I was positioned at a distance of about 1.5 meters from the toilet door, and whilst I was standing on my prosthesis. The allegation with reference to 1.5 meters and me wearing my prosthesis was clearly designed to suggest that I had pursued Reva to the toilet and that I therefore knew that Reva was in the toilet. Thus, that I did not entertain any fear at a time when it is alleged that I entered the bathroom. Paragraph 8. The State is also, by means of the evidence of the then investigating officer Hilton Botha, sought to rely on a statement by a witness who I am told is a certain Estelle van der Merwe, who claims to have heard what sounded like a woman's voice prior to the shooting, talking non-stop like fighting. The witness did not say that the alleged talking came from Riva, nor that the sound so mentioned emanated from my house. Paragraph 9. The statement, it would appear, offered an opportunity for the state to contend at the bail hearing that there may, and this is a quote, my lady, there may have been an argument between the applicant and the deceased, and the evidence might point in that way, unquote. This witness has since deposed to a further statement which materially contradicts her first statement. In the further and better particulars, the state disavows reliance on the first statement. The state has also conceded in the further and better particulars that they are not aware of any of the detail regarding, in brackets, the alleged argument, and that it may become clear during the trial. Paragraph 10. Van der Merwe's house is located approximately 105 meters from my bedroom, with my bedroom and bathroom windows facing in the opposite direction to Van der Merwe's house. It would not have been possible for Van der Merwe to have heard anyone talking from my bedroom in their bedroom. The state is furthermore in possession of statements by a number of witnesses, including witnesses resident in either the estate where I reside or in an adjacent estate. None of these witnesses claim to have heard any argument between Riva and I, nor any woman's voice talking prior to the shooting, notwithstanding the fact that two of the witnesses, open brackets, who live in closer proximity to my house than Van der Merwe, close brackets, were awake at the time when Van der Merwe alleged that she had heard a woman's voice. Paragraph 11. I refer to the above as the state now alleges, in the further particulars provided, that there was, in fact, an argument between Riva and I, and that I killed Riva, in quotes, because of the argument, unquote. I am unable to comprehend on what basis the state, brackets at the bail application, close brackets, could only rely on a possibility of an argument between Riva and I, and now, with even less available evidence, brackets, by disavowing Van der Merwe's first statement, close brackets, allege that there was in fact an argument, and that I shot Riva, in quotes, because of the argument, unquote. Paragraph 12. I deny this allegation and reiterate that there is no justification, whether legally or factually, for this unfair and incorrect allegation to have been made. The aforesaid allegation is also not supported by any of the statements disclosed to me by the state. Paragraph 13. Furthermore, contrary to what was contended for by the state during the bail application, the state has now conceded that it cannot be contended as a fact that I was about 1.5 meters from the toilet door and that I had my prosthesis attached at the time when I discharged the firearm anymore. Paragraph 14. The unfair approach adopted by the state is further evident from the evidence given by Hilton Botha at the bail application, whose evidence will be demonstrated to have been false in material respects. More particularly, that it was designed to falsely incriminate me on an allegation of premeditated murder. It will also be demonstrated during this trial that whilst Botha was the investigating officer and tasked with preserving the scene, that the scene was contaminated, disturbed, and tampered with. This feature of the state's case will be dealt with when Botha, amongst others, gives evidence. Paragraph 15. I have been led to understand that it is unusual to challenge the state's case in my plea explanation to the extent that I do herein. However, I am left with no alternative but to explain my innocence with reference to the allegations leveled against me. The foregoing will be exposed by having regard to the state's intended approach in this trial. This approach is to not only seek to unfairly draw inferences from purported statements of fact, which are not supported by the objective facts, but also, by virtue of the statements disclosed to me by the state, to seek to introduce inadmissible character evidence under the guise that such inadmissible evidence would be admissible similar fact evidence to demonstrate that there was an alleged nexus between the brackets, inadmissible, close brackets, character evidence and the brackets, non-existing, close brackets, argument, which allegedly led to me killing Reva, paragraph 16. I'm furthermore advised that, as the state is aware of the fact that it has no evidence to prove an alleged argument, and in particular in view of the fact that the state has conceded that it does not know what the features or import of such alleged argument would have been, the only intended purpose of an attempt to introduce inadmissible character evidence would be to engineer and bring about an inadmissible attempted assassination of my character. I'm advised that during the conduct of the trial, my legal representatives will object to the introduction of such inadmissible character evidence on the basis as stated above. Paragraph 17. I respectfully state that no truthful evidence can ever be tendered that I fired the shots, and I quote, because of the argument, unquote. I deny this allegation in the strongest terms because there was no argument. Paragraph 18. The allegation that I wanted to shoot, in brackets, or kill, close brackets, Reva, cannot be further from the truth. Add count 2. Contraventions of section 120, subsection 7 of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000. Alternatively, to count 2, a contravention of section 120, subsection 3, subparagraph B of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000, and paragraph 19. The allegations is formulated in the indictment with reference to this count, and the alternative count thereto are denied. Add count 3. Contravention of section 120, subsection 7 of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000. The first alternative to count 3, contravention of section 120, subsection 3, subparagraph A of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000, as well as the second alternative to count 3, contravention of section 120, subsection 4, subparagraph A of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000, as per paragraph 20. I admit that whilst I was in possession of the firearm as alleged, a shot went off. Save as aforesaid, the remaining allegations as contained in this count are denied. Add count 4. Contravention of section 90 of the Firearms Control Act number 60 of 2000, as contained in paragraph 21. I admit that at all times relevant to this count, I had not been issued with a license to possess .38 caliber rounds of ammunition. Save as aforesaid, the remaining allegations as contained in this count are denied. My lady and learned assessors, that then the plea explanation as envisaged in terms of section 115 of the Criminal Procedure Act, the statement before you with respect has been signed by my client. He will no doubt confirm that in due course on this very day, the 3rd of March 2014. As your ladyship, please.
Thank you very much. Mr. Pistorius, do you confirm the explanation as read out?
I confirm, my lady.
Thank you very much.
My lady, might I then respectfully request that an exhibit number be allocated to the plea explanation?
Yes, what do you suggest we give it?
Maybe AA, my lady. I suggest AA.
Yes, this is Exhibit AA. Yes, Mr. Nair?
Lady, as is accustomed in matters, there are certain admissions in terms of section 220 of the Criminal Procedure Act.
Yes.
My lady, we've prepared files. I beg leave to hand them in, and then I'll read the admissions into the record. My lady, it comprises 2 sets of files.
My lady, I'm so sorry. May the accused be seated?
Yes, yes, please. You may be seated. Is it 2 files?
It's 2 files for each,
For each.
member of the bench.
Thank you.
Lady, I'll take the court through the admissions.
Yes.
The admissions is drafted on a document, and we beg leave to hand that up as Exhibit A. The document containing the admissions would then be marked as Exhibit A, my lady.
Yes, this is Exhibit A.
And it reads, admissions in terms of Section 220 of the Criminal Procedure Act, 51 of 77. The accused makes the following admissions as far as count 1 is concerned. The deceased in the matter is Riva Rebecca Steenkamp, in her lifetime an adult female. The deceased died on the 14th of February 2013 as a result of multiple gunshot wounds sustained on the same day and at the location described as 286 Bushwillow Street, Silverwoods Country Estate, Silver Lakes, Pretoria. Number 3, my lady, the gunshot wounds sustained by the deceased were inflicted by the accused. Number 4, the body of the deceased sustained no further injuries from the time of her death until the post-mortem examination was conducted on her body. Number 5, on 14 February 2013, the accused was resident at 286 Bushwillow Street, Silverwoods Country Estate, Silver Lakes in Pretoria. Number 6, Melanie. On 15 February 2013, Dr. Gert Simon conducted a post-mortem examination on the body of the deceased and correctly recorded his findings on Form GW7-15 with reference to the death register number 0188 of 13, a copy which is annexed here to marked Exhibit B. Lady, in the one file under Exhibit B would then be the post-mortem report.
Yes.
I beg leave that then be marked as Exhibit B. Ma'am.
This is Exhibit B.
As God pleases. 7, the photo album, album 13, images 1103 to 1130, compiled by Warrant Officer van Staden, depicts images of photographs taken during the post-mortem examination, annexed here to as Exhibit C. Lady, in the file it's marked C. I beg leave that it be marked C as Exhibit C.
That's the photo album 13.
That's a photo album of the post-mortem examination,
Yes.
lady.
This is Exhibit C.
As the court pleases. Number 8, the accused formally applied for bail in the Pretoria Magistrates Court. A copy of the transcript of the bail proceedings is annexed here to as Exhibit D and is a true reflection of the proceedings and the evidence led. My lady, the second file is the bail application, and that should be marked with I respectfully request as Exhibit D.
This is marked Exhibit D.
As the court pleases. Number 9, the accused was legally represented throughout his bail application by Advocate Drew Essie and Advocate Aldrich on the instruction of Ramsey Webber attorneys, and all the accused's rights and consequences of his actions in relation to the bail application as provided for in terms of Section 60 of the Criminal Procedure Act, number 51 of 77, were explained to him. He understood same, the record is accepted as being admissible as evidence. Number 10, the photo album, album 1, attached here to is E. Lady, it's in the file under E. I beg leave that then be marked, my lady, as Exhibit E.
This is Exhibit E.
The admission reads further. Photo album 1 attached here to is Exhibit E, images 1 to 171, compiled by Warrant Officer van Staden, is comprised of photographs taken at 286 Bushwillow Street, Silverwoods Country Estate, Silver Lakes, Pretoria, provided that it's not admitted that all the photographs in the series depict the scene as it appeared immediately after the shooting incident, as the scene was contaminated and or disturbed and or tampered with. Contamination and or disturbance and or tampering with the scene will be dealt with on behalf of the accused during the cross-examination of Hilton Botha, who was the investigating officer and the person who took charge of the scene. Such contamination and or disturbance and or tampering with the scene will also be demonstrated by having regard to other photographs, including certain photographs in the series number 172 to 914. My lady, in terms of the admission, the photographs are admitted, but not as a true reflection without being tampered with, and that is how it's understood by the state, that it's admitted with that proviso. 11, the photo album 11, attached here to as Annexure F, my lady, if I refer to the file again, under the red F, that photo album, it's indicated photo album 11, if that could be marked as Exhibit F, my lady.
This is Exhibit F.
Will please us. Photo album 11 attached here to Exhibit F, images 915 to 951, compiled by Warrant Officer Van Staden, depicts aerial photographs of the accused residential estate, as well as certain distances recorded thereon, between the accused's house and the houses of certain witnesses. It will be, lady, again a typing error, it should read, it will be alleged by the accused that such distances were not measured to the balcony door of the main bedroom of the accused residence. May I respectfully request that the word alleged be entered.
Inserted. Yes. Please
As
proceed.
the court pleases. Number 12, photo album 14 attached here to as Exhibit G, images 1131 to 1141, compiled by Warrant Officer Van Staden, depicts photographs taken at Tasha's restaurant in Melrose Arch. My lady, it's filed under G. I respectfully request that it be marked as Exhibit G, my lady.
Yes, this is Exhibit G.
The photo album 15, attached here to as Exhibit H, images 1142 to 1147, compiled by Warrant Officer Van Staden, depicts photographs taken at the R25 and M78 roads, Laurie Road, Modderfontein. Lady, it's filed in the file as Exhibit H. I respectfully request that it be marked as Exhibit H.
I see H1.
My lady, that's how they did it. It's H and I. I'm not using I.
Oh, I see.
So, my lady, I respectfully request that it be marked as.
Yes, this is marked Exhibit H.
We will not use I, my lady.
Thank you.
14, the affidavit in terms of Section 2123 of Act 51 of 1977 of Elizabeth Johanna de Jager correctly refers to the records of the weather conditions that prevailed for the Pretoria East area on 14 February 2013 during the hours of 3 and 4. A copy thereof is annexed here to marked Exhibit J. Likewise, it's JK. I've filed J and K there. May I respectfully request that the affidavit of Elizabeth Johanna de Jager, that be marked, my lady, as J.
This is Exhibit J.
Then further, my lady, the findings of Lieutenant Colonel Ian Glenn van der Nest with reference to the investigation of the crime correctly record as follows: that no injuries consistent with blunt force trauma were noted at the post-mortem examination, which would have resulted in external blood loss. Lady, there was another paragraph that was deleted, so may I respectfully ask that the word "and" just be deleted.
Yes, what paragraph is this again? 15.
15.1, my lady, ends with the word "and." May I respectfully request that the "and" just be deleted.
Thank you. I've done that.
This is 16.
Yes.
The certificate in terms section 2124A and 2128A of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 77, as certified by Estelle Mariana Deisel, correctly records a concentration of alcohol in the specimen of blood that was taken from the accused on 14 February to be 0 grams per 100 milliliter. A copy of this certificate is annexed here to mark K. My lady, it's under what we mark J and K. May I respectfully ask that the affidavit of Estelle Mariana Deisel be marked as K. It's the last statement under J and K, my lady.
Yes, I found it. This is Exhibit K.
As the court pleases. The analytical report compiled by Dr. P.J. van der Merwe with reference to the result of 2 urine samples obtained from the accused on 14 February 2013 correctly reports that no substances comprised of anabolic steroids, stimulants, narcotics, or diuretics could be detected in the sample so analyzed. Copy of this analytical report is annexed here to marked Exhibit L. Lady, we filed it under L. May I request that it be marked L?
Yes, that's Pieter van der Merwe. Is
Yeah.
that the one?
Indeed, van der Merwe.
Yes. This is Exhibit L.
So, court pleases, as far as count 3 is concerned, it's an admission. A shot went off whilst the firearm was in the possession of the accused. As far as count 4 is concerned, the accused at all times relevant to count 4 had not been issued with a license to possess .38 caliber rounds of ammunition. As the court pleases, that then the admissions in terms of section 2.2.
Thank you very much. Mr. Roux, do you confirm the admissions?
It is indeed confirmed. Thank you, my
Yes.
lady.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
The state then ready to call its first witness, my lady. I call Michelle Berger, number 1880 on the list of witnesses.
Yes. Before you do that, there's no opening address.
I will do so, my lady. If the court would require me to do that, I will indeed do so. Lady and learned assessors, this matter deals with an incident that took place in the early hours of 14 February. The accused, the state's version, shot and killed the deceased as indicated in 286 Bushville country, in the country estates as indicated. They were the only two people in the house, my lady. There were no eyewitnesses. The state's case is based on circumstantial evidence that includes evidence of what the neighbors in the accused estate as well as neighboring estates heard. We will lead ballistic and forensic evidence. We will also argue that there's certain inference to be drawn from the scene. Lady, we argue that the accused version during the bail application and today cannot be reasonably possibly true, should be rejected, and as the only inference from the circumstantial evidence would be that the accused shot and killed the deceased with direct intent to kill. There's no eyewitnesses, my lady, based on circumstantial evidence.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
As the court pleases, I then call Michelle Berger. My lady, may I? There was a judgment indicating that all witnesses that gave evidence could be recorded and shown, audiovisual recordings. My lady, we've objected on behalf of this witness,
Yes.
and the ruling was that this particular witness and the ones that would follow, that I would include the court, that would inform the court about, evidence should not be recorded and shown, either on a video recording or still photos. Lady, there's then a second issue. We not only have this court, we also have an overflow court. So I beg the court's finding that the court would order that also in the overflow court, the witness's face is not shown.
Okay. The overflow, they're hearing us, aren't they?
The overflow court can hear us, my lady, yes.
The part of these
Yeah,
proceedings.
indeed, my lady.
Yes. So it does apply. I do order that the face of this witness should not be shown.
As a good bit.
Yes. Is there anything else?
That's it.
No, that's it. Thank you.
She testifies in Afrikaans, Your Ladyship. Volle naam en voor.
Michelle Burger?
Enige besort in die aflê van die voorgeskrewe eed.
Nee,
Beskou u dit bindend op u gewete?
is reg.
Sweer u dat die getuienis wat u gaan aflê die waarheid, die volle waarheid en niks anders as die waarheid sal wees nie? Steek op u regterhand en sê so help my God.
So help my God.
My lady,
You may be seated if you so wish.
we will lead the witness in English, the witness would respond in Afrikaans. Are you comfortable? Madam, what business are you in?
Ek's 'n dosent by die Universiteit van Pretoria.
I'm a lecturer at the University of Pretoria.
In which department, madam?
U edele, ek is by die departement konstruksie-ekonomie,
I'm at the Department Construction
economics.
Economics.
Madam, the accused before court is Mr. Oscar Pistorius. Do you know him?
U edele, ek het hom nog nooit ontmoet nie, ek ken hom nie.
My lady, I've never met him before.
Before this incident, madam, did you know where he stayed?
U edele, ek het geweet hy woon in die Silverwoods estate, maar ek het nie geweet waar nie.
I did know that he was staying in the Silverwoods estate, but I did not know where.
Madam, on the 14th of February 2013, where did you stay?
U edele, ek woon in Silverstream landgoed in Pretoria. Ek het daar gewoon op daardie datum en ek woon steeds daar.
My lady, I stayed in the Silverstream estate on that date, and I am still staying there.
And who shares the house with you, madam?
U edele, my man, Charles Peter Johnson, woon saam met my.
It's my husband, Charles Peter Johnson. He stays with me.
How long have you been staying there, madam?
U edele, ons het in 2011 ingetrek.
We moved in 2011, my lady.
Now, your estate and the Silverwoods estate, are they next to each other?
Ja, dis aangrensend tot mekaar. My huis is teen die grens van die Silverwoods landgoed in Silverstream estate.
Yes, they are next to each other. Huis grensend.
Ja.
My house is
Adjacent.
next to the border of the Silverstream and the Silverwoods estate.
Now, madam, this matter deals with an incident that happened on the 14th of February 2013, early morning hours. You know that.
Yes, I do.
Now, on the evening of 13 February 2013, was anything special at your house, madam?
Ja, dit was 'n aand soos enige ander aand gewees. Ek en my man was by die huis gewees. Ons het aandete geëet, ek het kos voorberei en ons het gewone tyd gaan slaap wat gewoonlik tussen 9:00 en 10:00 is.
Just 1 minute. Give Ms. Boshan time to interpret, please.
My lady, it was an evening like any other evening. We were at home, we ate dinner, I prepared food, and we went to bed at our normal hours, which is between 9 and 10.
Then, madam, what happened?
U edele, net na 3 die oggend het ek wakker geword van 'n vrou se verskriklike gille.
My lady, just after 3, I woke up from a woman's terrible screams.
Ek het regop gesit in die bed en my man het ook wakker geword van die gille.
I sat upright in bed, and my husband also woke up from the screams.
My man het opgespring en balkon toe gehardloop.
My husband jumped up and went to the balcony.
Ek het nog in die bed bly sit. Ek het haar gille gehoor.
I was still sitting in the bed, and I heard her screams.
En sy het om hulp geroep en toe na dit
You'd have to slow down a little bit.
Okay.
You're still sitting on the bed, yes?
You were saying?
edele sy het verskriklik gegil en toe het sy om hulp geroep.
She screamed terribly, and she yelled for help.
Edele, en toe hoor ek 'n man ook om hulp roep. Hy het 3 keer help geskree.
Then I also heard a man screaming for help, and
Hy keer 3 times.
3 times he yelled for help.
Yes, and then?
Edele, ek sê toe vir my man dat ek skree vir hom met help nie. Hy staan op die balkon nie. Hy moet terugkom na die kamer toe dat ons sekuriteit kan ontbied.
I then told my husband that it doesn't help him standing on the balcony. He must come back into the room, and that we should call the security.
Yes.
Edele, my man het toe teruggekom en ek het my selfoon is langs die bed. Ek het toe my selfoon gevat en ek het security op die foon gedruk.
My husband came back into the room. My cell phone was next to my bed, I took my cell phone and then I dialed for security.
And you dialed security. What did you do with your phone?
Ek het dit toe vir my man gegee dat hy kan praat met die sekuriteit want ons is in Silverstream estate en ek het gedink ek moet Silverstream sekuriteit bel sodat hulle Silverwoods kan ontbied en sê daar's 'n huisaanval, mense word aangeval in hulle huis want dis wat ons gedink het as gevolg van die gille.
Okay, let's get that.
I gave my phone to my husband so that he can speak to them because we stay in Silverstream estate and I thought that our security should call Silverwoods estate to tell them that there was an attack in a house there.
Yes.
Edele, my man het toe op die foon gepraat en vir die sekuriteitpersoon wat aan die ander kant was verduidelik, mense word langsaan aangeval, hulle moet asseblief gaan kyk.
My lady, my husband talked on the phone and explained to the security that there are people next door being attacked and that they should go there.
Yes.
Edele, my man het toe die storie herhaal want die sekuriteit op die foon het toe die foon vir iemand anders te gegee en my man het die hele storie toe herhaal en gesê van die aanval in die huis.
My lady, my husband repeated the story because the phone was given to another person, so my husband repeated the story and explained that someone is being attacked in a house.
Yes. Your husband repeated the story and what happened then?
Die edele, hy het toe vir my gesê, dis Troebenkop sekuriteit. Dis die verkeerde sekuriteitsnommer wat ons gebel het. Dis 'n plek waar ons voorheen gewoon het. En hy het die foon neergegooi.
He then told me that it's Troebenkop security. It's the security of a place where we lived previously. He said it's the wrong security and he dropped the phone.
Yeah.
Die edele, my man het toe teruggehardloop na die balkon toe. Ek sit nog steeds in die bed. En toe hoor ek weer haar gille. En dit was erger as voorheen, dit was meer intens.
Okay.
My husband then ran back to the balcony. I was still sitting in bed. I heard her screams again. It was worse. It was more intense.
Yes.
Die edele, sy was vreesbevange geweest. Dit is die ergste, dit was soos 'n klimaks. Ek het haar angs gehoor en ek het geweet iets gaan kom. Iets verskrikliks gebeur in daardie huis.
Apologies, my lady. May I ask her to just repeat what you said?
Please repeat.
Kan jy net vir my herhaal?
You were saying the screams were more intense, and then
it was a climax. She was very scared. It was screams that was a climax.
Okay. And what happened then?
Die edele, na haar gille, enkele oomblikke nadat het die skote geklap, daar was 4 skote gewees. Die tyd tussen die eerste en die tweede skoot was 'n bietjie langer as tussen die tweede en die derde en die derde en die vierde skoot.
Just after her screams, my lady, I heard 4 shots. It was 4 gunshots that I heard. The time between the first and the fourth shot was much longer than between the second and the third one.
There were 4 shots. You said the first. Could you perhaps give us a demonstration by using bum?
Dit was edele byvoorbeeld gewees, bang, 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 bang. Daar was 'n groter pose tussen 1 en 2 as tussen 2 en 3 en 3 en 4.
There was a longer pause between number 1 and 2 than between number 2 and 3 and 3 and 4.
Edele, ek wil ook vir die hof net sê, ek was nie met 'n stopperlosie daar nie, maar ek kan sê die tyd tussen nommer 1 en 2 was langer as tussen 2 en 3 en 3 en 4.
My lady, I was not there with a stopwatch, but I can tell the court that the pause between 1 and 2 was much longer than number 2 and between number 2 and 3 and 3 and 4.
And what happened then after the shots, madam?
Die edele my man het toe teruggekom na die kamer toe. Ek was nog steeds in die bed waar ek gesit het.
My lady, my husband returned then from the balcony and I was still sitting in bed.
Die edele, ek sê toe vir my man, ek hoop nie daai vrou het nou net gesien hoe haar man voor haar doodgeskiet is nie. Want ons het hom nie weer gehoor na hy help geskree het nie, so ek het gedink hy's dalk geskiet.
Then I told my husband that I do not hope that that woman saw her husband being shot in front of her, because after he screamed for help, we did not hear him again.
What happened after that, madam?
Die edele, ek was maar uit die mekaar aand, ek het gelê, ek was wakker en ek het geslaap. Ek het opgestaan die volgende oggend, soos gewoonlik.
My lady, it was a confusing evening because I was sleeping and then I was awake and then I sleeping again and then the next morning I woke up again, or I got up again. My normal time, I woke up.
Die edele, ek het toe klaar gemaak om werk toe te gaan. My man was besig onder om opmetings te doen. Hy het gedink hy moet ons sekuriteit opskerp weens die huisaanval.
I was preparing for work and my husband was upstairs doing measurements because he thought that he should have to increase our security because of the attack in the house.
Die edele, ek wil net duidelik maak, my man was nie bo besig om opmetings te doen nie. Hy was op, maar besig om opmetings te doen in die huis.
My apologies, my lady. My husband was not upstairs. He was up and was busy doing measurements in the house.
Madam, before we continue, can you just have a look at this file? And if you have a file with you, you can open at F.
How do you refer to this file?
Indeed, my
How do you
lady.
identify it?
It's Exhibit F, my lady. Its photographs are a further witness to that.
Just give us 1 minute. Yes, we've got it.
That's good. Please, ma'am, please page to 921. Slide 921. Are you there? Well, ladies, simultaneous with the reference to the exhibit, it will be screened on all the different screens in court as well.
Thank you.
Madam, having regard to that aerial photograph 921, can you confirm where your house is?
Die edele, ek kan.
My lady, I'll just put on record, the witness is pointing towards a roof just above 46A Trevor Crescent. The roof she's referring to is just above the T
Yes, I
of
see
Trevor
that.
Crescent.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Die edele, dis korrek.
That is correct.
And if looking at the photograph and just look at the numbers the 191 and 193 would be in what estate would they be? Estate next door.
Die edele, dit sal in Silver Woods wees want ons is teen die grens van Silverstein.
It would be in Silver Woods because we are just next to the border of Silver Woods.
Let us then go to photograph 930, 930. Are you there, madam?
Die edele, ek is daar.
Does it look
Yes.
familiar?
Ja, dit is my balkon daai.
Yes, it's my balcony.
Yeah. If we just explain to the court, you in your evidence said your husband went to the balcony. Which balcony did you refer to?
Edele, dis hierdie balkon op hierdie foto.
I'm referring to this balcony on this photo.
Yeah. The house you're staying in, is it a 1 or 2 story house?
Die edele, dis 'n dubbelverdieping huis.
It's a 2-story house.
And this balcony is on which floor?
Die edele is op die boonste verdieping.
It's on the top level.
There is a little red arrow. Does that look familiar to you?
Ja, die edele, dit is wat ek verstaan meneer Oscar Pistorius se huis is, die badkamer van sy huis.
Yes, from what I understand, that is where Mr. Oscar Pistorius' house is. His
Bathroom.
bathroom.
Let's just turn the page to 931. Does it look familiar to you?
Ja, die edele, dit is ook van my balkon afgeneem.
Yes, that was also taken from my balcony, my lady.
And you confirm the red arrow again.
Die edele, dit is meneer Oscar Pistorius se huis.
My lady, that is Mr. Oscar Pistorius' house.
And number 932, madam.
Die edele, ek verstaan, dit is die badkamer venster van meneer Pistorius se huis.
If you're on the balcony, could you see that specific house?
Ja, die edele.
Yes.
Good. Madam, now your bedroom, on which floor of the house is that?
Die edele, my slaapkamer is op die boonste verdieping en die vensters kyk uit na die Silver Woods landgoed toe.
My bedroom is on the second level, and the windows
Face out. Face towards.
face towards the Silver Woods estate.
Now, do you have windows in your room?
Die edele, ek het slaapkamervensters wat waarwyd oop was want ons het nie 'n ligreëling of 'n dakwaaier nie.
My lady, I had bedroom windows which was wide open because we do not have air conditioning in the bedroom
Or 'n fan.
or a fan.
What happened the next day? I just want to go back to the screams you've heard. Did that have any effect on you?
Die edele, dit was verskriklik traumaties geweest. Die angs was bloedstollende gille geweest. Dis die tipe ding wat jou koud laat. Jy kan dit nie mooi oordra aan iemand nie. Dit was verskriklik. Die stem.
It was very traumatic for me. You could hear that it was blood-curdling screams, and
Dit laat jou koud. Jy kan dit nie lekker doen. You can't translate it in words.
it leaves you cold. You can't translate it in words. The anxiousness in her voice
Fear.
and fear.
next day, what do you think happened?
Ek het nie geweet, ek het gedink is 'n huisbraak. Ek was oortuig ek en my man, mense is aangeval in hulle huis in Silverwoods. Dis wat ons gedink het.
I was not aware. I thought it was a housebreaking. We thought, my husband and I thought that someone was attacked in the house in the Silverwoods estate.
And what did you do, madam?
Ek het maar werk toe gegaan soos enige ander dag. Ek het toe ook 'n vriendin gebel op pad werk toe.
I went to work like with any other day, and I also called a friend on my way to work.
Yes.
My vriendin se kind is in die Silverwoods kleuterskool, so ek het haar gebel om vir haar te vra, kan sy asseblief uitvind wat het gebeur, en ek het haar die storie vertel.
My friend's child is in the Silverwoods nursery school, and I asked her if it's possible, if she could find out what happened.
And you also said you told her the story.
Dis reg, U Edele, ek het vir haar die storie vertel.
That is correct. I told her the story.
What story did you tell her? Don't repeat the story, but what story did you tell her?
U Edele, ek het haar vertel van die vrou se verskriklike gille en die skote.
My lady, I told her about the woman's terrible screams and the gunshots that I heard.
U Edele, ek het vir haar gevra, ek wil hoor of iemand dood is en wat het gebeur.
I asked her, I want to find out if someone died.
By die ek het gesien.
Boshoff.
Ek het toe, ons het maar gesels soos elke oggend. Hy het gevra hoe gaan dit en ek het hom vertel van my slegte nag.
We talked like every morning, and I told him about the bad morning I had. Bad night. Apologies. Also another colleague, Vita Wilkins, and we talked, and I told her of the house breaking I thought took place the previous night.
Yes.
Edele, en ek het toe begin werk en later het my man my
I started working, and then later on my husband called me.
Yes.
Edele het vir my gevra of ek kan onthou wat die vorige aand gebeur het en ek het gesê natuurlik.
He asked me if I could remember what happened the previous night, and I said yes.
Edele, ek het hom toe vertel soos wat ek het gehad het, soos wat ek aan die hof verduidelik het.
I then told him as I just explained to the court.
Edele het vir my gesê, hy het nou net by die kantoor gehoor, hy het nou net agtergekom, meneer Oscar Pistorius is op die nuus en hulle sê, hy het gedink daar's 'n inbreker en toe het hy sy meisie doodgeskiet.
He then told me that at the office he just heard that Mr. Oscar Pistorius is on the news, and he thought that there was an intruder, and then he shot his girlfriend.
Just 1 minute.
Yes.
Is this just hold on?
Sorry?
This is not hearsay evidence.
Her husband will be a witness.
Will
Malay.
be.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Die Edele, dit was toe op die nuus gewees, my man het toe eers die nuus agtergekom.
It was on the news, and then my husband only then realized.
And when you heard that, what did you think?
Edele, ek het vir my man gesê, dit kan nie wees nie, want dit rym nie met wat ons gehoor het nie.
I told my husband that it cannot be because it's not.
It's not wrong
It
with
was.
what we heard.
It's not what we heard.
Madam, how did it come about that you made a statement to the police?
Edele, ek het eers later 'n verklaring afgelê want ek woon nie in Silverwoods nie.
I only made a statement later on because I do not live in Silverwoods.
En ons was oortuig gewees daar sou mense in Silverwoods wees wat sou gehoor het, want dit was baie duidelik vir ons wat gebeur het.
And we thought that there would be people in Silverwoods that estate that heard
That would testify
that would testify
because we're not in that estate.
because we are not in that estate.
Yes.
Die edele ek en my man het toe weggegaan tydens die voorverhoor en ons het die voorverhoor op die radio gehoor.
We went away during we went away during the pre-trial, and
On the radio.
we heard of the pre-trial on the radio.
You referred to something as a pre-trial, but you heard a judgment on the radio.
Dis korrek, die edele.
That is correct.
And what
En
then?
die edele op die radio het ons gehoor, daar word gepraat van 'n getuie wat 600 meter weg is. Ons het toe intussen agtergekom, ons woon nie te ver van meneer Pistorius nie, want daar was 'n ligfoto op die TV gewees van ons huis.
We heard on the radio of a witness that stays 600 meters far, and we then realized that we do not stay that far from Mr. Pistorius because we saw an aerial photo on the television of our house.
Yeah.
Die edele verder by ons werke het almal toe nou besef hoe belangrik ons getuie is, want ons kollegas het gehoor van wat ons gedink het die huisbraak is, voor baie van ons geweet het, dit is meneer Pistorius.
At our workplaces, we then realized how important our testimony is because our colleagues heard of the housebreaking before we knew
Dat het Mr. Pistorius.
before we knew that it was Mr. Pistorius.
And then what did you do?
Edele, ons het toe probeer uitvind wat ons moet doen. Ons is nie eintlik media mense nie, dit is vir ons erg om hier te wees. Ons is private mense.
We then tried to find out what we should do. We are not really media people. It's difficult for us to be here.
Edele, ek het toe 'n prokureur gebel en ook 'n advokaat, Nikki Marits wat ek ken.
I then contacted an attorney as well as an advocate that I knew, Nikki Marits.
Edele, om advies te kry oor 'n verklaring. Hoe moet ons maak om 'n verklaring af te lê?
To get advice regarding the statement, how we should go about to give a statement.
Edele, want ons het gehoor as ons na die polisiestasie toe gaan, dan die media op daardie stadium was baie erg. Ons wou dit privaat gehou het.
We heard that when we go to the police station, the media at that stage, it was very intense, and we wanted to do it privately.
Die edele advokaat Marits het toe gesê ons moet ons verklaring so lank neerskryf en dan kan ons by mekaar kom. Maar voor dit gebeur het die polisie aan ons deur geklop een aand.
Advocate Marits told us that we should write down our statement and then thereafter we could get together. But before that, the police knocked on our door one evening.
And you made a statement with the police when they came back.
Die edele, die polisie was toe daar, hulle het met ons gepraat en hulle het gesê kaptein Mike van Aert sal 'n draai by ons maak om die verklaring af te neem.
The police was there and they talked to us, and then they informed us that Captain Mike van Aert will come to get the statement from us.
And did that happen?
Die edele, dit was so, kaptein van Aert het gekom en ek het eers het hy gekonsulteer met my man apart. Hy het sy verklaring afgelê en toe later met my.
That is correct. Captain van Aert was there. He firstly consulted with my husband separately and took the statement, and then consulted with me.
Madam, there will be other witnesses in this matter. The Stip family. Did you know them before this incident?
Die edele, ek het hulle glad nie geken nie. Ek het hulle 'n week of 2 terug vir die eerste keer ontmoet.
I did not know them at all. I first met them about a week or 2 ago.
Die edele, net toe ek die hof besoek het om te sien hoe lyk die hof.
It was when I visited the court just to see how the court looks.
there also be the witnesses, the Van der Merwes. Did you know them?
Edele, ek het hulle nog nooit ontmoet nie. Ek het hulle vanoggend vir die eerste keer gesien.
I have never met them. I saw them the first time this morning.
My lady, it's 10 to 1. May I inconvenience the court and ask that we take an early lunch?
Yes.
Be back at 10 to 2. And I just want to go through the notes. I'm sure I'm done. I just want to go through the notes and then we can proceed from there, my lady.
Yes, thank you very much. There's no objection to this request?
I don't think it will help me, my lady, but no, thank you.
Very wise. Court will adjourn.
Position is, in terms of court order, the audiovisual caption of the video, of the witness, is prohibited by the judgment and by the agreement we've had.
Yes.
The audio, however, would still go out.
Yes, yes.
And what's happening at the moment, and that's the only reason I was approached, what's happening at the moment, my lady, is in the overflow court, they're showing the rest of the court, but not the witness.
Yes.
And multi-choice would like to have the same privileges. Or the audio would in every case have gone out. And all the witnesses have agreed that the audio would go out and just not the visual. So the only issue, my lady, at this stage is, would multi-choice be able to show the court and exclude the witness?
Exclude the witness?
Yes, and not show the witness.
Yes.
And that was the objection.
Okay.
I'm in your hands, my lady. I've no
Thank you.
difficulty.
It will be so ordered.
As a court please.
Yes. Yes, Mr. Roux?
Thank you, my lady. Miss Berger, do you want to be addressed as Miss Berger or Mrs. Johnson?
My title is Doctor, but you're welcome to call me whatever you like.
Do you want to be addressed as Doctor?
You're welcome to call me Madam. I don't...
Please
whatever.
assist me. How do you
Madam
want to be
is fine.
addressed?
Thank you. Madam would be fine.
Madam. Madam, am I right that at least we know one thing about the context of your testimony? And it is this, that you stand there believing that Oscar Pistorius lies and that he lied at the bail application.
U edele, ek kan net vir die hof vertel wat ek gehoor het daardie aand. En so verduidelik ek dit aan die hof.
Madam,
I can only tell the court what I heard that evening,
En so I tell it to the court.
and so I tell it to the court.
did you understand my question? If you didn't, please tell me.
U edele, as hy vraag weer herhaal kan word asseblief.
As you stand there and as you testified in chief, you do it from a perspective that Oscar Pistorius lied at the bail application and his defense is a lie.
U edele, ek kan nie verstaan hoe ek 'n vrou duidelik kon hoorgil het en meneer Pistorius dit nie kon gehoor het nie. Ek verstaan dit nie.
I cannot understand how I could clearly hear a woman scream, but Mr. Pistorius could not hear that. I cannot understand that.
Dit is nie gesê in die voorverhoor.
It was not said in the pre-trial.
Shall I repeat my question? It can't be that difficult. Do you believe the man? Did you believe him when you heard what was going on at the bail application? Yes
U
or
edele,
no?
ek stem saam dat daar 4 skote was. Ek stem saam dat ek 'n man 3 maal help hoorskree het. Maar wat uitgelaat is die vreesbevange gille. The fear-stricken screams van daai vrou.
My lady, I agree that I heard 4 gunshots and that I heard a man screaming for help 3 times.
But what was left out?
But what was left out was the fear-stricken screams of the woman.
Petrified screams.
Petrified screams of the woman.
How do you get in this answer now to the man screaming? How's that relevant to what I've asked you?
U edele, ek dink dit was vir my is dit baie duidelik. Indien dit nie duidelik is nie, vra asseblief vir my 'n ander vraag, meer duidelik.
I think that it was clear enough, and if it's not clear, please ask me another question.
Did you understand me when I asked you that where you're standing there and when you testified in chief, it was from one context, one perspective, that Oscar Pistorius lied at the bail application. It's either yes, that's what I thought, or no, I didn't think that.
Die edele, soos ek gesê het, ek kan nie verstaan hoe meneer Pistorius nie kon gehoor het die vrou skree nie. So, indien hy sê daar nie 'n vrou geskree het nie, moet hy asseblief aan die hof verduidelik hoe hy dit nie kon gehoor het nie. Daai vraag moet aan meneer Pistorius gerig word.
I cannot understand why Mr. Pistorius did not hear the screams of the woman. And if he did not hear the screams of the woman, that's a question that needs to be asked to Mr. Pistorius.
Well, I'm not letting you off the hook. I'm coming back to my question that you have not answered 5 times. But let me ask you this then. We know one thing. From ballistic evidence and from some of the witnesses to be relied upon by the state. We know about one event that we call shots. And we know about another event that we call bangs on the doors, where witnesses described similar to shots of a cricket bat. You with me?
Edele, ek het nie die cricket bats sla op die deur gehoor nie. Ek het wel die skote gehoor en die gille.
My lady, I did not hear the cricket bat bangs on the door. I did, however, hear the gunshots.
How do you mean cricket bat bangs on door? Where do you get that from? That's not what I put.
Edele, nou, ek herhaal wat hy vir my gesê het. Ekskuus, kan u dit dan duideliker vir my rig?
I am repeating what you said. Could you make it more clearer to me then?
Fine. Could there have been shots fired when you were still asleep and you heard the screaming afterwards?
Nee, u edele, daar's geen manier daarvoor nie. Ek het wakker geword deur 'n vrou se angsgille.
No, my lady, it's not possible. I woke up due to the petrified screams of a woman.
Can I repeat my question?
Ek is nog besig om te antwoord. Skus, mag ek klaar antwoord?
Sure.
U edele, ek het 'n oproep later gemaak en toe was daar nog gille en eers daarna was die skote.
I made a call later on and
A telephone call
later, and then
I heard a petrified screams.
I heard a petrified screams, and then there was the gunshots.
Could there have been shots fired before you woke up?
U edele, ek het 4 skote gehoor en dis eers na ek wakker is en sover dit my kennis strek, soos wat die verdediging ook sê, was daar net 4 skote geskiet daardie aand.
My lady, I heard 4 gunshots after I woke up, and as the defense also said, there was only 4 shots fired.
Madam, what was my question? Because I think that there's some misunderstanding between the two of us. What was my question? Can you remember it at all?
U edele, natuurlik kan ek die vraag onthou.
So please tell me what it was.
Die vraag gaan die heeltyd herhaaldelik oor wanneer ek die skote gehoor het.
My lady, the question is repeatedly about when I heard the shots fired.
Maybe you must listen. I repeat. Could the shots have been fired before you woke up?
U edele, daar's geen manier nie.
There's no way, my lady.
Why not? Why could it not have been the cricket bat that you hear bashing the door?
U edele, ek het duidelik 4 skote gehoor na ek die oproep gemaak het.
My lady, I clearly heard 4 gunshots after I made the telephone call.
Surely you spoke to your husband about this case.
U edele, natuurlik het ek en my man dit bespreek, die traumatiese gebeure van dit.
Of course, I discussed it with my husband regarding the traumatic experience of it.
How many shots did he hear?
U edele, my man gaan self kom getuig aan die hof. Hy het ook 4 skote gehoor.
No.
My husband will come and testify before court himself, and he also heard 4 gunshots.
So your
5 or 6, 5 or 6.
Excuse me?
My husband heard a couple. He didn't know if it was 4, 5 or 6.
Ma'am, I have a difficulty. I asked you a specific question. You're absolutely clear. Also 4 shots. Ook 4 skote. As I reached to go to a paper, you know what I was going to do. You change your version. Why is that?
U edele, ek het nie my man se verklaring gelees nie. Ek is nie bekend met alles wat hy in sy verklaring gesit het nie. Ek weet hy het skote gehoor en ek weet ek het duidelik gehoor dit was 4 skote. Hy het 4, 5 of 6 skote gehoor, het hy gesê. Ek het nie sy verklaring gelees nie.
My lady, I never read my husband's statement. I do not know what the contents are. I know he heard gunshots. It was 4, 5 or 6 that he heard.
You remember when I asked you if you discussed it with your husband, you said of course.
Ek het sekere goeders bespreek met hom, die vrou se gille.
I did discuss certain things with him. The woman's screams.
U edele, ek het ook gesê ek het 4 skote gehoor.
I also said that I heard 4 gunshots.
My man het gesê hy is onseker dit kon 4, 5 of 6 skote gewees het, maar daar was heelwat skote gewees.
My husband said he's not sure. It could have been 4, 5 or 6 gunshots, but he was not sure.
Ek het 'n punt gemaak om nie die verklaring te lees nie.
I made a point not to read the statement.
Which statement is that now?
Die verklaring wat afgeneem is deur kaptein Mike van Aert.
The statement that was took by Captain Mike van Aert.
Have you never read it?
Ek het nie die verklaring gelees nie.
I did not read the statement.
So when he took the statement from you, how did it happen? Explain to the court.
Van my.
What did he do by taking the statement from you? Or are you referring to your husband's statement that you did not read?
U edele, ek het natuurlik my eie verklaring gelees, maar my man se verklaring is sy eie verklaring.
Of course I read my statement, but my husband's statement is his own.
U edele, verder is ons nie saam ons verklaringe afgelê nie, ons het apart ons verklaringe afgelê.
Furthermore, our statements was not taken down together, it was done separately.
Have you discussed the number of shots that your husband had heard with you?
U edele, my man het gesê daar was klomp skote gewees. 4, 5 of 6 het hy vir my gesê.
My husband said there was a lot of gunshots, 4, 5 or 6.
My man se getuie is sy eie getuie. Ons het nie die getuienis verander nie.
My husband's testimony is his own testimony. We did not change or alter it.
Dit wat ek onthou is myne, soos wat ek het onthou het daardie aand.
Mine is what I heard that evening.
Dit wat my man gehoor het, is dit wat hy gehoor het. En ons hou by ons eie getuienis.
That what my husband heard is what he heard, and we are keeping with our own testimony.
What do you mean we did not change it? Are you talking on his behalf as well? We did not change our versions.
U edele, as my man gesê het hy het 4, 5 of 6 skote gehoor, ek is baie duidelik. Vir my weet ek, daar was 4 skote wat ek gehoor het.
If my husband said that he heard 4, 5 or 6 gunshots, I can clearly say that I heard 4.
Met ander woorde, my man het nie gegaan en gesê hy het 4 gehoor nie. Hy het gehou by hoe dit vir hom geklink het.
In other words, my husband did not say that he heard 4. He as I did, he said what he heard.
What do you mean he stuck to what he had heard? When was that? If you say hy het gehou, he stuck to it. When?
U edele, van wat ons gehoor het die 14de Februarie tot vandag toe. Dit wat ek gehoor het, is dit wat ek vandag aan die hof vertel.
My lady, from the 14th of February, what I heard that day, that is what I'm telling the court today.
En ek wil verifieer laas jaar, 14 Februarie 2013.
And I would like to verify 14 of February 2013.
I asked you about him sticking to his version. That's what you said.
Edele,
Could you please explain that?
Edele, ons is onder eed hierso om die waarheid te praat. So ons hou by wat ons gehoor het daai aand. Ek kan net getuig oor wat ek gehoor het.
My lady, we are under oath here to speak the truth, and I can only testify about what I heard.
I'm asking you about him sticking to his version. Where do you get? May I finish?
Seker.
Him sticking to his version. Tell me about it.
Edele,
when did he stick to this version?
Edele, wat sal gebeur is wanneer my man in die hof getuig, gaan hy sy getuienis lewer soos wat hy dit gehoor het.
What will happen is when my husband comes and testify in court, he will give his version.
When did he stick to his version? Because that means one thing. He gives a version, when he's asked about it, he sticks to it. When did he stick to that version in your presence?
U edele, soos ek al voorheen verduidelik het, dit wat my man gehoor het, het hy bygehou, dis wat hy gehoor het, 4, 5 of 6 skote. Vir my was dit duidelik, 4 skote. Ons het nie gegaan en enigiets verander nie. Dit wat ek gehoor het, is wat ek gehoor het.
When was
My
it?
lady, that what I heard, what he heard, he stuck by it. He heard 4, 5 or 6 gunshots. I clearly only heard 4. We did not go and change it.
My question is, what was the occasion that caused him to stick to his version?
U edele, daar was geen occasion gewees nie.
There was no occasion, my lady.
Now, how do you know that he stuck to his version?
U edele, wat ek probeer oordra het aan die hof, is dat ek eerlik is voor die hof en my man sal eerlik ook wees voor die hof.
What I'm trying to
Portray to the court.
portray to the court is that I am honest
In
and
front of
my
the court?
in front of the court, and my husband will also be honest before the court.
How do you know your husband will be honest?
U edele,
In court.
U edele, ek wonder of van hierdie vrae dalk aan my man gerig kan word.
My lady,
Dit gaan oor hom.
I wonder if some of these questions can't be directed to my husband because it's the questions is about him.
He did not say it, you said it, and I want you to explain it. How do you know that?
U edele, ek en my man is al meer as 20 jaar saam. Ek ken hom, hy's eerlik.
My lady, my husband and I are together for more than 20 years and I know him. He's honest.
So was he honest when he heard 5 to 6 shots?
U edele, ja, dit is sy getuienis, dis hoe hy dit ervaar het.
Would you say he's wrong?
Yes, that is what he heard and that is his testimony.
U edele, sy het nie nou vir hom geantwoord nie, sy het my vraag geïnterpreteer.
My lady,
I did not
the
answer.
interpreter did not answer his question. She interpreted my answer to you.
Would you say he's wrong?
U edele, my man sal
just one
getuig.
minute. What does that mean? Does it mean there is miscommunication?
U edele, there's no miscommunication between my husband and I. I was just saying.
No, I mean the interpreter. You said something about the interpreter.
Oh, she wanted to answer my question, but then the advocate already didn't give her a chance and he started translating before she could answer. So she was answering his next question and she wasn't interpreting what I was saying. Yeah, that's all right.
You ready?
Yes.
Was your husband right or wrong in saying that about the 5 to 6 shots?
Die edele, my man het gesê wat hy gehoor het. Dis sy weergawe.
My
Asking
husband
you.
said what he heard. It's his version.
Die edele, ek kan nie antwoord op my husband's behalf. I can't answer on his behalf.
Can he be right?
Die edele, my man sal binnekort getuig en al hierdie vrae aan hom kan aan hom gerig word.
Ma'am,
My husband will testify in due time and all of these questions can be posed to him.
let me explain to you. If I say to someone I heard 4 and someone else says 5 to 6, then I have two answers. One is maybe he's right, I'm not too sure. It happened quickly, some time ago. Yes, he can be right, I can be right. The other one is he's definitely wrong, I'm right. Which one is it?
Die edele, ek is oortuig ek het 4 skote gehoor. My man se getuienis moet hy oor self oor praat. Ek kan nie praat oor sy getuienis.
I'm certain that I heard 4 gunshots. I cannot speak on
My husband's behalf.
on my husband's behalf regarding his testimony.
Have you read your statement, man, made to Captain van Aert?
Die edele, ek het daardie aand my verklaring afgelê en ek het dit weer gelees.
That evening I gave my statement and I did read it.
Which evening are you referring to, man?
Die edele, die aand wat kaptein Mike van Aert by my was.
I'm referring to the evening when Captain Mike van Aert visited us.
And surely before you came to give evidence today, you read through your statement again.
U edele, ek het weer daardeur gelees.
I did read through it again.
And were you satisfied that your statement correctly reflected the events?
U edele, dis hoe ek dit gehoor het.
That is how I heard it.
Were you satisfied that your statement correctly reflected the events?
U edele, my verklaring soos wat ek dit daar gegee het, is presies hoe ek dit gehoor het.
My statement, how I gave it there, is precisely how I heard it.
Now, let us go to one point, and that is, after what you described as shots, you said it was a confusing evening. What did you mean by that?
Ek het gesê in my voorheen edele het ek gesê ek was wakker na die tyd toe advokaat Gerinel vir my gevra het. Toe sê ek was wakker en ek het weer geslaap. Ek het nie goed geslaap nie.
What I said, my lady, when Mr. Gerinel questioned me was, afterwards I was awake and then I slept again. I didn't sleep well.
You said it was a confusing evening. Please, can you explain that to the court?
Edele, ek het bedoel dit was 'n de mekaar aand gewees, siende dat ek nie net wakker was of net geslaap het nie. Ek het geslaap, ek was wakker, dit was ontstellend gewees.
What I meant was, it was a confusing evening for me because I was awake and then I slept again. It was
distressing.
It was a distressing evening for me.
But what was confusing about it? Dear Makar, as he said. What was confusing?
Milady, I'd like to explain this in English. The events of that evening was extremely traumatic for me. The fear in that woman's voice is difficult to explain to the court. I was traumatized through what I heard that evening. So obviously I didn't go to bed without any, as usual, and just carry on. It was a very emotional situation to have to hear the absolute petrified screams and shouts. It wasn't just another evening, it was extremely emotional.
I understand the emotional side according to your version. I'm more interested in the confusing side.
Edele, ek dink dit was dalk met die vertaling geweest. Dit was 'n de mekaar aand.
That's
I think it could have been with the translation. It was a confusing evening.
But that's dear Makar. What other word did you want to use?
So edele, wat ek probeer verduidelik het, was dat dit nie soos enige ander aand was nie. It wasn't like any other evening.
Is there a difficulty, in an old court asked me, is there a difficulty between you and the interpreter?
Excuse
I need
me?
to know. Is there a difficulty between you and the interpreter? You must please tell me.
So,
Do you feel that she correctly interprets what you're saying?
edele, I'll say this in English, milady. She is interpreting what I'm saying. Some of the words are not exactly the same, and then I'm correcting her in English.
But because I see you've a number of times you've corrected.
Milady, I can do for the court. I'm willing to speak English, and at some circumstances I can go over into Afrikaans where she'll translate for me.
As long as you're comfortable to do it.
Milady, I'm very comfortable. Ek kan beide Engels en Afrikaans praat.
I can speak both English and Afrikaans.
My mother tongue is Afrikaans, so I prefer Afrikaans.
Yes.
But if it's easier for the court, I'm willing to speak English.
Well, if it's easier for you, it's you I'm worried about.
Okay. I'd speak then Afrikaans, both Afrikaans and English, when I need to speak Afrikaans.
Yes. Well, you have to make up your mind. You want to speak English? You feel you are comfortable in English?
I prefer speaking Afrikaans.
Yes, I heard that.
Thanks.
But are you comfortable in English?
I'm fairly comfortable in English, but I prefer speaking
You
Afrikaans.
prefer speaking in English?
Yes.
Let me just get some indication from counsel who understand Afrikaans. Is the interpretation what we can rely on?
think the difficulty that we have is that when I pose a question to the witness, the complaint is that it was not correctly interpreted. The word interpreted by the interpreter was in fact correctly interpreted. So I'm very loath to blame the interpreter, but it was done by the witness. That's my difficulty.
And dear mekaar simply means confused.
Yes, my lady.
Confusing,
of course. But it's there, it's on record. If there's a difficulty, I will raise it again.
Thank you very
much. After you heard the sounds that you described as, I think, boom, 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 with the interval between the first and the second boom, what happened?
Ekskuus eerlik, kan die vraag weer herhaal asseblief?
After hearing the sounds that you described as boom, 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 boom. I know there was an interval, I may not be accurate in the duration of that interval, but that's not what I'm asking you now. What happened directly after that?
Toe die skote begin het ek weer die vrou hoor skree.
When the shot started, I again heard the woman scream.
Dit was tydens die skote wat ek al gehoor het.
It was during the shots that I heard her.
En net na die skote het haar stem weggekwyn.
And just after the shots, her voice started fading.
So let me understand it. Let's work on that part. So what you say, you heard the screaming simultaneous with the shots, with the boom, 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 and then that screaming faded away.
Die edele, ek het nie presies opgelet met presies wat se skote daar gille by was nie.
I did not concentrate with which...
Nee, nie concentrate nie. I did not note exactly.
I did not note with which shots there were screams.
Maar ek kan wel getuig dat die skote het begin en tydens die skote het ek weer die vrou se stem gehoor.
But I can testify that I heard the shots, and during the shots I heard the woman screaming.
And then, after the shots?
Die edele, net na die skote, oomblik of wat na die skote, is die laaste wat ek die vrou se stem gehoor het, het weggekwyn.
And just a moment after the shots, I heard the woman's voice fading away.
Now, why I'm asking, and I'll come back to this, in your evidence of chief, there was no mention of hearing any screaming after the shots. So I'm trying to understand what you say, that it's quaint, that it just faded away as part of the shots, or was there an independent screaming after the shots, an isolated screaming?
Die edele wat ek kan sê is, ek het haar stem net na die skote gehoor. Dit het weggekwyn.
What I can say is that I heard her voice just after the shots, and it was fading away.
Yeah, but she did not scream after the shots. It was fading away after the shots.
Die edele, dit kan wees dat sy geskree het, dat sy die klank gemaak het na die tyd, of dat sy tesame met die laaste skoot geskree het en dit het weggekwyn.
It could be that she screamed, and my apologies, my lady, may I ask her to just repeat what she said?
Dat net na die tyd sy gegil het en dit weggekwyn het, of tesame met die skoot?
That just after the shots, that she screamed and it faded away, or
with the last shot.
With the last shot.
So, yeah, is my understanding correct? It was not a scream after the shots, but the screams as she was screaming during the shots, that scream faded away.
Die edele, dit kan wees dat sy na die tyd gegil het.
It could be that she screamed afterwards.
Ek het haar stem gehoor net na die tyd.
I heard her voice
net just afterwards.
Just afterwards.
Yeah, but you say it can be. We started to speculate now. I want to know what you remember. Can be a lot of things can be. What is it that you can remember as you stand there?
Die edele, die skoot het begin en daar was 4 skote. Tydens die skote het ek die vrou se stem gehoor en net na die tyd het ek haar stem ook gehoor.
My lady, there were shots, 4 shots, and I heard a voice.
And just afterwards.
And just just afterwards was the last time I heard a voice.
But if you say, can you repeat it? If you say you heard a voice afterwards, what does that mean?
Dit beteken ek het dieselfde vrou wat my wakker geskree het, daai selfde vrou se stem het ek weer gehoor.
It means that the same woman that woke me with her screams, I heard her voice.
But what does it mean? Does it mean she carried on screaming during the shots? That's the first point. And then after the shots she screamed again, or can't you say that?
Die edele sy kon moontlik geskree het met die laaste skoot. Of sy kon net na die laaste skoot geskree het, want ek het haar stem die laaste gehoor, net 'n oomblik na dit, nie lank na dit nie, net 'n oomblik na dit.
She could have screamed with the last shot or just after, because I heard her voice just after.
And not a long time afterwards.
Not a long time afterwards.
What you say that you're not sure. It could have been with the last shot, it could have been shortly after the last shot.
Die edele, ek bevestig, ek het haar net na die skote die laaste keer haar stem gehoor.
I confirmed that just after the last shot I heard her scream.
Her voice.
Her voice. My apologies.
I understand the voice. I'm talking about an independent scream. I scream, it's quiet. I scream, it's quiet. Was it a continuous scream?
Die edele, ek wil dit aan die hof duidelik maak dat dit vinnig gegaan het, daai skote en die skree. Dit was, ek het dit nie verwag nie. Nie so nie, nie daai aand nie.
I would like to make it clear to the court that the screaming, it went very fast. I did not expect that evening.
What is it that you say to me by mentioning that? What is it that you want to court to infer?
Ek het nie daar gesit, milady, I didn't sit there with a stopwatch and take down the timing of each shot. I did not sit there and write down with each shot when she shouted. What I can portray to the court is that there were 4 gunshots and that I heard her petrified screaming sometime during the gunshots, and just after the gunshots was the last that I heard the same woman's voice that woke me that evening.
You see, ma'am, you are not sure, and before you answer, I'm going to give you a fair chance. And I'm going to say it's quite clear from your version. You are not sure, and what you're now doing, you're adapting, you're speculating, you're trying to close all the gaps. I want you to bear in mind that what I'm going to put to you in due course is your statement. And I want to put to you that your statement contradicts what you say in court now. So let me ask you the questions, and keep that in mind. And I'm going to put it to you. What is it that you heard in relation to the shots about the woman?
Can you please verify what you mean with relation to the shots?
The screaming, the howling, in time, was it before, during or after?
Milady, as I stated to the court before, I was woken up by a woman's petrified screams. I heard her screaming first. Then I heard her call for help. Then I heard a man call for help 3 times. I then made a call. I gave the phone to my husband and he spoke to security. Afterwards, I heard the woman's petrified screams again. I heard her screaming sometime during the shots. I cannot verify whether it was number 1, 2, 3, and 4, but I can say that I heard her voice during the shots. And shortly after the shots was the last time I heard that woman shout. As I stated to the court before, it can be that she shouted with the last gunshot, or she could have shouted just afterwards. I did not hear her a minute after the last shots. It was shortly after the shots. A moment or 2 after the shots was the last I heard her.
It could still have been the same voice echoing, coming from the same time as the shots, or it could have been a new scream. That's what you say.
It could have been a new scream. I heard a voice.
Or it could have been a scream echoing from a scream during the firing of the last shot, or at the time of the firing of the last shot.
Yes.
One of the two.
One of the two. I heard a voice. Moments. If it's asked to me, when was the last you heard the woman shout? I will state that the last I heard the woman shout was shortly after the last shot. I did not hear her a minute afterwards. I did not hear her 30 seconds afterwards. It was very shortly after the shot was the last time I heard that woman's voice.
But we also know, you don't know if that was an independent scream or the still part of the scream echoing coming from the same time as the firing of the shot. Could be either of them.
What I would like to state to the court is that I heard her voice during the shots, and the last time I heard her was shortly after that. I did not hear her a minute afterwards. It was shortly after the shots was the last time I heard her.
And what is ingrained in your mind was at that time during the shots that woman was totally petrified. That was something more intense.
I was convinced that that woman was being attacked. She and her husband were being attacked in their house. I was convinced it was an attack in the house through robbers. There was no doubt in my mind because of the fear in that woman's voice.
What was my question?
Please repeat the question.
Can you remember it at all?
I was focusing on the fear. Please repeat the question.
You were focusing on?
On the fear, explaining what I heard.
Was that the time that's ingrained in your mind that is so significant was when that she was totally petrified in her screams at that time? It stood out.
Milady, what I can say to the court is her shouts, her screams were petrifying. Before the gunshots, moments before the gunshots, I sat in the bed and it's the most helpless feeling I've ever had in my life. I anticipated something was going to happen because of the climax of her shouts. I knew something terrible was happening in that house. I thought they were being attacked in their house. You only shout like that if your life is really threatened.
It was not just a scream. There was something more. It was far more intense. You could hear it's building up. It's far more intense.
It was very intense.
More intense than the screaming that you've heard before.
Milady, the screams that I heard before was petrified. The female screams. But just before the gunshots, it was blood-curdling. It was something that leaves you cold. It's something you can't portray in the court. You can't explain it. You just know that woman's life was really threatened.
You see, ma'am, and we're going to deal with that. That's, of course, very easy, and would have been very easy to tell Captain van Aert about. When he sits with you and you depose to your affidavit, and he's a very, very experienced policeman, you would tell him about it to say, whoa, there was now something far more serious, as you explained, not so? You would have told him about this.
Milady, everything I'm stating to the court, I stated to Captain van Aert. I was very impressed with his professional conduct.
I'm going to ask the state to make your statement available and then prove it to you and then read that paragraph to you. If I may ask the state. It is 8:30. Of course, there will be other things as well, but let's deal with that. Lady, we're just trying to see if we can get a clean copy somewhere. If the court would just bear with me, my lady.
Yes.
Lady, it's got red marks on, but it doesn't matter. It's about content. Could you look? It's a copy of a statement. Could you look at that and identify it as your statement and the one that you made freely, sitting with Captain van Aert, and that you were satisfied that he correctly recorded what you were saying?
Milady, it's correct. It's my statement.
And may I ask you this before I hand it to the court? Knowing Captain van Aert is thorough, he would take your statement, read it back, and if you're not happy, he would change it, and you would only sign it when you're satisfied with the contents.
Yes, that's correct.
Is that statement that you were satisfied with? Is that your signature? Is that the one that you made to Captain van Aert?
Milady, that's correct. It's my statement.
Could we hand it up, my lady? The last exhibit number.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to read to you and the interpreter will translate.
Mr. Rue, I thought we were getting 3 copies.
Oh, my lady. I beg your pardon, I forgot about the assessor. May I ask for a very short adjournment because it would be unfair to the assessor. I apologize for that, I should have known. A very short adjournment.
Yes.
Just like that. As exhibit M. And for the interpreter's benefit, copy.
This has been marked Exhibit M.
Madam, I'm going to take you to paragraph.
Lady, I'm sure if we deal with the statement, the witness should have a statement in front of her.
It's not in front
I think it
of-
was sent to for the benefit of the interpreter.
I think both the interpreter and the witness ought to have a statement.
Yeah, if they can both have a look at it, then I don't have a problem.
I thought she was working through the interpreter that one or two statements the same. Thank you, madam. I want you to look at paragraph 6. It says that your husband went to the balcony again. You see that?
Yes, my lady, I see that.
Ek hoor die vrou gil.
I heard the woman scream.
You see that?
Yes, my lady, I see that.
What we don't see like we go to your previous parts in your statement, we don't see the plural, gille. We don't see blood curdling. We don't see a build-up in anxiety. It is a plain, ek hoor die vrou gil, meaning I hear her scream. That's all. Do you agree?
My lady, with that, it implies I heard her shout. I heard her screaming. I heard her scream.
Yes.
I didn't say I heard one scream. I said I heard her scream.
Yes. Gil is a scream. Gille, the plural, screams. Doesn't matter. That's not the point that I'm making. Where is this? You now there sitting with Captain van Aert.
I have to object, my lady, and I was contemplating not. What counsel put to the witness, it's semantics, but it's not right. It's impossible to say in Afrikaans, ek hoor die vrou gille.
Ja, dankie.
It's impossible to do. Ek hoor die vrou gil means plural or singular.
Ja.
But you can't say ek hoor die vrou gille. That cannot be, and that was what was put.
Lady, that's not the point that I'm driving to. Can I make the point?
Yes.
That was now, you've got a doctorate, it's not immediately after the incident, you sit with a very experienced investigating officer, at the very least, I would have expected to say, Captain van Aert, let me tell you, this time around, it was blood curdling, it was the anxiety, there was a build-up of anxiety. It's not there. All it says, ek hoor die vrou gil. You agree?
I'm explaining to the lady. I'm explaining to the court today what the emotions that I heard. The facts I gave here in this testimony of mine.
But if you had given the emotions to Captain van Aert, he would have reduced that to writing and he would have put it in outside.
Lady,
He's sitting here.
Lady, I'm sure Captain van Aert, if he gets to testify, will be able to testify that my emotions that evening and that it was emotional for me what I heard.
It's not about your emotions. It's about what you're telling him. That's what I'm driving to. It is what you told him at the time and what you did not tell him. And that's why I keep on saying his experience, and we know him. He would write down what you're telling him. What you did not tell him, it was this far more serious, far more anxious, blood-curdling screams. That patently, when you made your statement 1 month after the event, you did not tell him that.
Milady, the statement is written over here as I heard it. I did say to Captain van Aert when we started speaking that evening about the emotion in her voices and the blood-curdling fear I heard in her voices, he'll be able to testify that I said it.
Yes.
We spoke about it before we did this.
Yes, I can take you to paragraph 3. We can go there. We said it was an angsel. You put that in. That's paragraph 3.
Where exactly are you?
I apologize, my lady. Away from paragraph 6, where she says you put in emotions. If I took it to paragraph 3 of a statement,
Yes.
which says gedurende die nag het ek wakker geword. I woke up for a woman that was screaming, and that was, she used the word angst, that anxiety, that fear. That's where you put it. It's there. So you wrote it down. Now, we can just debate this. It's as easy as that. What I put to you, if you had told in paragraph 6 before the shooting, Captain van Aert, that this was not only screaming, it was something more. It was that now increasing anxiety. He would have put it in, not so.
Milady, maybe when we wrote down this testimony, I didn't put that word right before I said gilla, which means screams. But I did note to Captain van Aert the emotion in the voice of that woman when we had our discussion before we did the testimony. In the testimony, I wanted to portray the shouts, the anxiety, and the shots.
It's far more than that. The anxiety was dramatic. It makes you cold. The anxiety in her voice was blood-curdling. Nothing stopped you at the time from telling Captain van Aert.
Milady, Captain van Aert will be able to testify when we had our discussion. I did say to him, it was terrible. It was blood-curdling.
Yes. Now let's go to the second part of that statement. We read it. I heard the woman scream, and then, and 2, and then 4 shots. So this is Captain van Aert again. He didn't write down what you were telling me. Is that what you say?
No, milady, when we did the statement, I did say I heard her shouting, and moments after that I heard the shots and her shouting.
Was that the truth?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Was that the truth?
I spoke the truth to Captain van Aert.
Yes. Why did you not do it in court?
I did speak the truth in court
Did
as
you
well.
not say that during the shooting she was screaming?
I said so just now, milady. I emphatically stated that the shots started. I heard her voice. I could not state when with those shots did I hear exactly her voice. Was it with 1, 2, 3, and 4, or when exactly? But I said just moments after the last shot was the last I heard her voice. It wasn't long after. It was just after that.
Madam, just read your own statement, please, and tell me what it says. It says, I heard the woman scream, and then 4 shots. Do you see that?
Yes, milady, I see that.
What does that mean? Just that what you're saying there. What does that mean?
It means when I speak about the shots, there were 4 shots. Later in the paragraph, I speak about the screaming again.
You know what I'm talking about. We can spend time on it. I'm talking during the shots.
I've checked. The witness answered. She said, later in the paragraph, I spoke about this again. So she answered the question. She answered the question and said, later in the paragraph, I spoke about it again. That should be taken up.
Yes, Mr. Roux.
Yes, my lady. Can you show me later in the paragraph where you said that during the firing of the shots at that time she was screaming? Please show me that.
After I stated there were 4 shots.
Which paragraph is that?
It's paragraph 6.
6.
Thank you.
The lady, then after I spoke about the shots, I said the lady shouted the last time approximately 2 seconds after the last shot, and after that I didn't hear anything again.
Read that properly, please.
I said the woman gave the last screaming approximately 2 seconds after the shot stopped.
Yes, after the shot stopped, she gave a last scream.
That's the last time I heard her.
Yes. Show me where during the firing of the shots she was screaming, please.
I didn't say she only shouted after the last shot. I said the last time I heard her, the last time was after the last shot. And I'm now stating to the court exactly that while the shot started, I heard her. There were 4 shots. I heard her. I can't state exactly with which one of the 4 shots, but the last time I heard her was shortly after the last shot.
We're dealing with a different question. In your evidence today, you said that during the firing of the shots, she was screaming. You remember that?
I heard her voice, yes.
She was screaming. Now show me in this paragraph. Here you're quite clear. She screamed and then 4 shots, and then you say after the last shot, about 2 seconds after the last shot, she screamed. Sy gee 'n gil. She's after the last shot.
Lady, the last time I heard her was shortly after the last shot.
Yes.
My lady, I have to object, but I'm willing for the witness to leave the court so that I don't put words in her mouth.
Yes.
And I think it's perhaps fair, and I'll be that fair, but I want to discuss this paragraph and what was said.
Please leave the court for a while. Call you when you're ready for it.
My lady, my objection is this. We're tasking the witness on a contradiction which is not in this paragraph. If one reads this paragraph, it says, I heard the woman scream, then shots. The last time she screamed was after the shots.
Then if that is the meaning of the paragraph, I'd rather have that paragraph on record in Afrikaans.
Indeed.
If that's how it reads. Yes.
That paragraph should be, because that's how I interpret it in Afrikaans. And it reads, my lady, my man is weer uit na die balkon. Then it says, ek hoor die vrou gil. En toe 4 skote. Then she describes the shots. Daar was 'n pose van ongeveer 2 sekondes vanaf die eerste skoot na die tweede skoot en toe die skote direk na mekaar gevolg. She described the shots. Die vrou het die laaste gil gegee. I heard a scream. The last scream was 2 seconds nadat die skote opgehou. So there's a continuation, but we're putting this to the witness as a contradiction. And it's not a clear-cut contradiction. We have to be fair to the witness with the utmost respect. There's a continuation between the scream, I heard a woman scream, then shots, and just as statements go, I explained the shots, but the last scream was after the shot stopped. There's no indication that it's a new scream. So, my lady, I understand what Mr. Roo is doing, but we should just be fair to the witness.
So what you are saying there's an implication, it's implied that there were shots fired during,
yes.
I mean the screams.
Yes, it's a scream.
Yes.
Explain the shots in the last scream. By implication, that's my interpretation.
Or you're saying that doesn't mean that there were no screams.
Exactly. But let me rather go there, my lady, and I think that's perhaps more fair as counsel to say. That doesn't mean that there were no shots. And I'll leave it with that, and I think that's fair, my lady.
Yes.
I cannot say that how I interpret it, but the way the court summarized it is my version.
Okay. Yes, Mr. Roo?
We don't need to give interpretations.
We know it's not there. It's not
there,
in
my lady.
there.
All
Yes.
that should have been there, and that's the
Yes.
only point I'm making.
Yes.
All that should have been there During the firing of the shots, I heard her screaming.
Yes.
That's the only point I'm making.
Yes.
It's not there.
No,
That
I
was
understand you.
evidence.
What I'm thinking now, maybe it's something for argument.
Yes, my lady, but
Yes.
I wanted to put it to her that it's not there because that I need that on record.
All right. Thank you. Yes,
Can we call her back, my lady?
yes, the witness may come back. Thank you. You're still under oath?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yes, Mr. Wu.
What was also interesting, madam, is that during your evidence in chief, you did not make mention of any yell, any scream after the boom, 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 boom. Why is that?
Sorry, my lady. Did you say what was the beginning of your question? I couldn't hear you.
Let me explain to you what it means. When Mr. Nell presented your evidence and you testified, one thing you did not do, you referred to the boom, 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 boom and whatever intervals and whatever sequence, but after that, you made no mention of the woman screaming. No mention.
Milady, I think Advocate Nell asked me what happened after that, and then I explained when my husband came back. So if I did not mention it then, I would like to mention it now.
Did you forget it at the time?
No, I did not forget what happened. It's clear to me.
Now, I was curious when I asked you on 2 occasions, could there have been shots fired before you woke up? And you were absolutely to the point saying no. How come you said no? You were sleeping.
Milady, I just know of 4 shots that took place that evening, and I heard those 4 shots. So if there were other shots before I woke up, I don't know about it, and I don't think it was presented to court that there were more than 4 shots that evening.
So you say, with your ex post facto knowledge, what you heard afterwards, there were only 4 shots.
I heard 4 shots.
You say afterwards, you were told that only 4 shots were fired, and you heard 4.
Milady, what I'm referring to is during the pre-trial on the radio also, the defense stated they also say there were 4 shots. I heard 4 shots. No one else mentioned that there were 8 shots or 10 shots that evening. I only heard people speaking about 4. I heard 4 shots. So I couldn't have heard other shots before I woke up because I only heard 4 shots. And that I heard after the call I made. So there couldn't have been other shots. That's all I heard. I can only state what I heard to the court. I heard 4 shots.
Let's look, and I can't say they're telling the truth. Mr. Nell must call them, and we will call witnesses just to test it. Because the police, in its investigation, managed to get a number of statements from people in the neighborhood, in that same estate, and then, of course, your statement as well. And to test the reliability of your evidence, and again, you know, they may be all lying. Captain van Aert may have manipulated his statements, I don't know. So I can't stand in for the truth of that. But let's go through it, and I would like to invite your comment to it. There's a witness, Mr. Stipp. He's a radiologist. He says in his statement, and I'm just dealing now with shots and could be interpreted as shots. That's where I'm going. But what I'm going to do before I deal with that, and I know you don't believe him because you said his statement that the boat could not be, but hear me out for a second, without being judgmental. Just hear me out. His version is the following. He fired 4 shots. At some point in time, when he realized that it might have been Reva, and when he realized the devastation caused by it, he was screaming for help, and he was screaming. He opened the doors, even the slide doors, to scream. And after that, not all the details, trying to kick the door, first put his legs on, trying to kick the door, he bashed the door with the cricket bat so hard that he broke the door. He hit it 3 times, that he can remember, 3 times. We have experts with state, we have the pieces of the door, we have the cricket bat. We have experts saying that the damage to the door is consistent with the cricket bat. So we know that. So that is where I'm going to. And we know that, and I put it to you, it's a long sentence and I apologize for it, that on test people will say that the bashing of the door would resemble, when you hear from a distance gunshot, it's hard, it's dwah. You understand? It's not soft hitting. You hit the door to break. You understand that? So with that in mind, there's Mr. Stipp, the radiologist. He may be wrong. He woke up by hearing 3 shots. Could have been 4, but we know it's 3. The man was sleeping. Then there's a time delay. He heard the man screaming, "Help, help, help." You heard that, the man screaming.
I heard the man screaming after I heard the woman screaming.
Yeah, you heard the woman screaming and then you heard the man screaming, one following the other. And he was also anxious, I assume.
The emotion in the voice was a bit different. She was fear-stricken.
But was it just a help, 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 I'm pretending help, or was it shouting for help?
I won't be able to say, I mean, that question, milady, we'll have to ask Mr. Pistorius for that.
Yes.
But what I heard was, help, help, help. I heard that.
And I
Lady, I feel terrible, but I have to object. I've got Mr. Stipp's statement in front of me, and the way it was put to the witness is not true. I'm sure Mr. Roux is trying to paraphrase, but the way I read it, ek het 3 weerskote gehoor, het was kort na mekaar, ek het onmiddellik uit die bed opgestaan en na die kamerbalkon gegaan, ek het onmiddellik nadat ek op die balkon gekom het, gehoor hoe 'n vrou gil. Daar was ongeveer 3 gille. There's nothing that was now put to this witness, my lady.
What was the question again?
I worked with Mr. Stipp's, I'm sorry, I worked with Mr. Stipp's explanation to a witness, Johan Stander. Let me get the other one. My mistake. He also made a statement to Mr. Stander about it. Let me correct it. I apologize. That's indeed so. Let me...
And it might also be a good idea just to say it in Afrikaans, what it says.
Yes, Maroon.
And then that will be translated
It was the
into
one,
English.
yes, I will do that.
Yes.
Now, let me take you... I'm going to one aspect only, and that is the 2 noises. We know in our version, you have the shooting and you have the cricket bat.
Milady, I can only state that I heard the shooting and not the cricket bat. I heard 4 shots. My house is in Silver Stream, not Silver Woods. So I'm a distance away. I'm over 170 meters away. I don't know if that had an influence on me only hearing the shots. I didn't hear the cricket bat.
Yes. Yes.
I
Now,
could have been somewhere else, wherever in my house. I only heard the shots.
but that's the point that I'm taking you to. After the shots, what did you do?
Milady, as I stated to the court before, after the shots, after the screams died down, I was still sitting in bed, and my husband came back from the balcony.
And then? I mean, you must have been upset.
Yes, that's when I stated to my husband that I hope that that woman didn't just witness her husband or the man being killed in front of her. Because remember, I thought it was a housebreak. Because of the fear in her voice, I wasn't doubting that they were being attacked in their house.
I assume you were awake for quite some time.
Milady, I was awake from the shouts. I was awake till after the last gunshot. I cannot say when I fell asleep. I don't know. I fell asleep somewhere. I woke up again. I fell asleep. I can't state. I went to the bathroom. I came back.
But let's try and get some time to it.
Milady, I won't be able to give time because I wasn't looking at my watch, looking afterwards when I'm falling asleep, when I'm waking up. I didn't take time.
It's not what I want to ask you. After hearing what you call the shots, you spoke to your husband.
After the shots and after the screaming died down, my husband did come back, and I spoke to my husband, and I then said to him, I hope that woman didn't just witness her husband being killed in front of her, because I said that because I only heard the male shouting help 3 times, and I never heard him again. I only heard the female.
And what did you do then? You spoke now to your husband?
Well, I lay down again in bed.
Did you go to the toilet then? When did you go to the bathroom?
Sometime during the night. I can't say when I went to the loo, but I went to the loo sometime.
No.
I laid down again in my bed. I woke up, I slept, woke up.
The point I'm trying to
I didn't
make.
take note of that because remember, I never thought I was going to testify in court. I was thinking that's a housebreak. Also the next day I phoned my friend, and my colleagues knew, before we knew of Mr. Pistorius, that we thought that was a housebreak.
When you're upset, and that must have really upset you, you won't fall asleep within 10, 15 minutes. It must take at least more than that. Or would you just turn around and sleep?
Milady, my sister's baby died on Friday night. I slept. I do sleep after traumatic events.
But do you say to me, I'm trying to find out, do you say to me very shortly after the shots you fell asleep, or was it some time delay?
I did not look at my watch to say when I fell asleep.
I understand that. I'm not asking time. Would you say there was some time delay, or did you fall asleep very shortly after the shots?
Milady, when you're lying in bed at night, sometimes 5 minutes feels like an hour if you're trying to sleep. I cannot say when I fell asleep. It was probably sometime afterwards. I can't say when I fell asleep.
And what you did, and I'm not talking about a long time, I'm talking 3-4 minutes, 2-3-4 minutes on this case. After the shots, you would still be awake?
I was awake for a short while after the shots. I don't know how long, Milady, but I was awake sometime. I don't know how long. I can't confirm how long.
That is when the cricket bat was used to break down the door.
Milady, I'm not going to change any testimony. I can only say what I heard.
I'm not asking
I only
you.
heard the shots. I never heard any cricket bat. I can't testify.
I'm not asking you to change your testimony. All I say, it was not long after the shot that the cricket bat was used.
Milady, I
to
never...
hit the door hard.
Milady,
Really hard that you can hear it.
Milady, I only heard the shots and the terrible screaming. I never heard the bashes or anything of that. I don't know whether it was the distance. I can't say. Maybe I went to the loo at that stage. Maybe it was a distance. Maybe I fell asleep. But I can only testify about what I heard, and what I heard was the shouts, the terrible screaming, and the gunshots.
You know what? Mr. Pistorius is really anxious, and he screams when he pitches his voice. We'll call a witness in that respect. If I put it to you, it sounds like a woman, what would you say? That it's not true?
Milady, I don't think I've ever heard Mr. Pistorius screaming. So,
because what I'm saying to you, let's look at it for once, just 2 minutes, objectively. And this is what I put to you. He fired shots. He was beyond himself. He was screaming after that, higher and lower. And I'm going to deal with the statements here in different screaming, higher and lower. And that is why you would hear what you that time of the morning associate with a very anxious woman screaming and also a man screaming. You heard both. All I said was the same person.
Milady, I'm 100% certain I heard two different people that evening. I heard a male voice and I heard a female voice.
Well, one thing we do know from your testimony, you did not hear them at the same time. You did not hear a female screaming and simultaneously a man shouting for help.
Milady, that's true. I heard the lady call for help, and shortly afterwards I heard the male shout help 3 times. Help, help, help.
Yeah, and that's the point that I'm making to you. It was not simultaneous, because if it's the same time, then of course you can turn around and say it cannot be, because they were screaming or shouting the same time. When you heard the female voice and the male voice, it was at different times, not simultaneous.
Milady, it was shortly of the one after the other, the male after the female, and I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that it was 2 different people. It did not sound remotely the same.
Yes, in your mind, I must accept. In your mind, it was not the same. In your mind, it was 2 different people. But let's look at it now. Let's try and make sense out of this. If I tell you you were 177 meters away, what would you say about that?
Milady, that's true. That's our distance. That's true.
If I tell you that his voice, when he's really anxious, when it pitches, it sounds like a woman, can you say it's not so? Or do you simply say, I don't know?
Milady, I'm sure what I heard was a woman, so I'm quite convinced it wasn't Mr. Pistorius.
I know you believe you heard.
Yeah.
All I say is, when he's anxious, his voice, when it pitches, it sounds like a woman screaming. And what I put to you, that's what would explain why you hear like a woman screaming and you also hear a man screaming, not only a woman.
Milady, why I'm definitely certain it was 2 different people is because I can compare the helps of the first person and the second person. And the first person was definitely a female, and the shouting was with that voice. I could hear it was her voice shouting and screaming fearfully.
Well, let's look at it. Let's look how well you could hear from that distance, because I put it to you. The hitting of the ball, the door with the cricket bat, was shortly after the shots. Not a long time, and you would have been awake still at that time. For sure you would have been awake. You did not even hear someone hitting the door so hard with a cricket bat that it breaks. You did not even hear that.
Milady, I'm sure gunshots will be louder than a cricket bat on a door.
Well, you sure, but do you know? Do you know what a gunshot would sound like compared to someone hitting a door hard with a cricket bat? Do you know what a difference in sound would be, what a difference in decibels would be? Do you know that?
Milady, I did not check that fact, the difference of decibels, but I know a gunshot really travels far. One can hear it very far.
What is your experience of gunshots?
Milady, I don't own a gun. I don't own a gun, but I've heard gunshots in the night, and I've shot before. I shot once. I went to a driving range,
When was that?
It was a few years ago.
So you were there right at the driving range, shooting right at the sound.
I've been there before, yes, once.
And apart from that occasion where you were at the driving range, what other shots did you hear? And how far were you away from the shots? And what was the caliber of the fire?
Milady, it has happened in my life that in a neighborhood where I am, I hear a gunshot. I cannot say where it's from, but it's from a distance.
But
I know what a gunshot sounds like.
that's what you interpret to be a gunshot. You know, it's at night. Sounds strange at night, especially 3 o'clock in the morning or thereabout. You hear sounds, and in your mind, and I'm not saying you're lying, in your mind, you hear gunshots. And that's why I'm testing, why would you be an expert to say those were definitely not gunshots and not another sound resembling a gunshot? That would be a hard boom, 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 not that.
Milady, I've heard gunshots before.
How many
100%. Various times in my life.
In that neighborhood?
No, we live in an extremely safe neighborhood.
When last have you heard gunshots? Before that
the 14th
evening?
February 2013.
Before that evening, as you say? Before that?
Milady, I can't testify about the date that I heard the last time gunshots. The fact is, I'm sure, especially South Africans, most people in the court would be able to say whether they hear a gunshot when it's a gunshot. It's very clear.
Well, I'm not sure if that's true because Mr. Nell will present the evidence of other witnesses saying they hear the noise but they're not sure if they're gunshots. It may or may not be.
Milady,
They're not that sure.
Milady, for me it's very sure. Also, I'd like to state to the court that my bedroom windows were open because it was a very hot evening towards the bathroom of Mr. Pistorius' house. So what I heard very clearly would be sounds traveling from the bathroom. I would not always be able to hear if people are moving around in the house. The other witnesses' houses are on different places in the estate. So even the sounds may change. The shouts, the screams we hear, it's different. And even the time when we wake up, maybe it's different.
Have you ever heard a cricket bat hitting a door?
Milady, I've never heard a cricket bat hitting a door. I've heard someone kicking a door, but never a cricket bat.
Have you any idea what it would sound like 3 o'clock in the morning from the inside of a house when you hit a door very hard with a cricket bat?
Milady, I live 177 meters away, over 170 meters away. Whether I can hear that or not, I don't know. Shots, definitely. I've got no doubt. I heard shots, gunshots fall. I did not hear a cricket bat hitting a door. Maybe I was in the bathroom at that stage. I cannot say why I did not hear it. I can only testify that I did not hear it. Why, I don't know.
I'm trying to understand on your version why we would have that scenario other than the one that I put to you, that it was the same person screaming. Why would I have that evening or that early morning, would I have a woman screaming out and a man screaming out?
Milady, that question, I think the only person that can maybe answer that will be Mr. Pistorius himself.
But it is really strange. I mean, one version is the one was attacking the one and then the other one was attacking the other one, or someone else was attacking. I don't know, because it does not make sense that both of them would scream help. You agree with that?
Milady, I cannot interpret certain things. I wasn't there. I can only say what I heard. I can only present to the court one piece of the jigsaw puzzle, what I heard. The other evidence that will be given will form the rest of the puzzle. I can only say what I heard. I cannot interpret someone else's meaning.
What you're really saying, because let's look where you come from. You come from an attitude, to put it that way, that you, when you heard Mr. Pistorius' version at the bail application, it was not true. You immediately decided it cannot be. Not so?
Milady, as I stated earlier, there's a missing link, and that's the female that shouted.
But what did you hear about the bail application?
I was riding in the car on my way to Mpumalanga, and I heard the hearing proceedings on the radio. And that's when I discovered that they spoke about a witness 600 meters away. And also I heard that it was stated emphatically that there was only one person that shouted that evening. But I very clearly heard two people, a male and a female, shouting.
So you decided, if he says that Riva was not screaming, that he's lying. It cannot be, he's lying.
Well, Milady...
Not so.
Milady, if he says there was no one else screaming, then I can't understand it. It has to be explained, because I definitely clearly heard that.
It's not only you cannot understand it. In your view, it cannot be.
Well, I cannot see how it could be unless he was somewhere else and he did not hear it, but it does not make sense to what I heard.
But in your view, if it cannot be, he cannot be telling the truth. It cannot be what he's saying, in your view.
Milady, I'm not going to judge him. He'll have time to come and explain it if he comes to explain it. He can explain it.
Now,
I don't know how, I cannot see how it's possible not to hear, because I heard her 170 meters away,
you heard?
a woman scream.
Yes. What you believe was a woman screaming. Now, you've never heard the sound of a cricket bat hitting a door.
Milady, I've never heard a cricket bat hitting a door.
Yeah. But notwithstanding, you're confident to say those were gunshots, not cricket bat noises.
Milady, I'm 100% convinced I heard gunshots that evening.
Yes, and your only experience with gunshots was once at a driving range, and other times when you hear gunshots and you interpret them to be gunshots. You don't see the person firing.
Milady,
To you, that's gunshots.
I was at a driving range once where I shot on my own. I did, when I was much younger, go with someone else that also shot once. So that was the second occasion when I was younger. And then I've heard shots in the neighborhood before. But, milady, really, I do know what a gunshot sounds like.
Now,
It's very clear.
now let's test your hearing. That night, the only thing you heard, according to you, that was a man's voice, was once a man shouting, "Help, help, help," 3 times.
That's correct, milady, just after the female shouted.
You see, I'm looking at neighbors staying close by, in the close proximity of the accused house. There's a Mr. Bareng Mochwane. He heard someone crying, sounded like a man crying. Could you hear that?
Milady, I did not hear a man crying. It could have possibly been after the shot. Before, I do not know. I did not hear a man crying. If it was somewhere else than the bathroom, I did not hear that. I don't know.
Yes.
I only heard the shouts, the screaming.
Yes, there's Erika Mochwane, also very close by, close proximity. She heard a man's voice crying like a cry of pain. Did you hear that?
Milady, if someone was crying, I would not hear it 170 meters away. I would hear gunshots because it's loud. I would hear screaming because it's loud, but I won't hear cries or talking. I'm too far away.
There's a man right next to number 287, Bushwiller. Okay, if he's telling the truth. Mr. Michael Nklenkwa, saying he heard a man crying very loud. The crying was really loud and continuous, also crying, "No, please." Did you hear that?
Milady, as I understand, that person's testimony was he was quite close to in the estate. I did not hear that. I was 170 meters away. I did not hear crying.
There's Hillary in Glenketwa. She heard the man crying very loudly. You did not hear that?
Milady, I did not hear any crying.
Now, you see what my difficulty is. Not the other witnesses that the state did not take statements from, so leave them out. They're not part of the state's case. But what we have various witnesses far closer to the house, and some not as close, hearing a man crying loudly. That's the one thing that you did not hear.
Milady, I confirm I did
Yes.
not hear crying, and I did not hear the cricket bat.
We're talking about loud crying, not just crying, loud crying. You did not hear.
Milady, as I stated before, I'm 170 meters away. It has to be very, very loud for me to hear it.
You did not hear because you should have been awake, would have been awake. You did not hear a cricket bat hitting the door so hard that it breaks the door.
Milady, as I stated before, I can only testify on what I've heard.
My lady, may I just object? It was now put to the witness, you did not hear it as if it did happen and she could have heard it. It wasn't said. She answered this question, my lady. umpteenth time. She did not hear the cricket bat against the door. We should move on, ladies. She's answered this question. I haven't kept count, but I can remember at least 5 times. And one should really move on.
Mr. Roux?
Part concerns me, my lady. The objection starts off by saying, as if it happened, that I put to him, there was hitting with the cricket bat as if it happened. And I'm not sure if that's the state's version, because we put it that it was indeed so. It's part of the state's analysis.
If the court allows me, I'll explain what I meant.
You'll rephrase.
I'll do.
Yes.
But as if it happened so loudly that she should have heard it. That's what I meant. Yes. If I didn't express myself correctly, I apologize.
Thank you.
That's what we put to the witness, my lady. We can disagree. We put it to the witness, and that is why we put to the witness that, and I ask and I say, could there have been gunshots before you woke up? And their answer is no. Now, maybe she can hear well when she's sleeping too.
Well, she explains it in terms of distance.
Yes, my lady.
She says, I did not hear it.
Yes.
I was 177 meters away.
And we say, what we say, my lady, and that's what I'm going to put to her. What she really heard, she heard the cricket bat, my lady. The gunshots had taken place.
Yes, you can put it to the witness.
Thank you, my lady. You see, and that's why I was trying to understand now how it was possible that if you could hear so well the gunshots, that your husband heard more shots than you. Where was he at the time of the shooting?
My husband was on the balcony when the shots took place.
So he was outside on the balcony when you heard the shots?
Yes, that's correct.
Would you say he was in a better position to hear than you? Outside on the balcony than you inside the house or not? I don't know.
Lady, I can't explain how good or how bad my husband hears, but the gunshots were loud. I heard them very clearly, so I suppose he could also hear them clearly.
I'm trying to understand, because initially you said he also heard 4 shots, but I think you corrected yourself. Is that right?
Yes, my husband said he heard a lot of shots. It could have been 4 or 5 or 6. It was a lot. For me, it's very clear. I started with music very young. I hear rhythm automatically. There was no doubt for me. I heard 4 shots.
4. Now, when you spoke to your husband the next day, later that day, not the next day, he asked you if you could remember. What was that all about? Could you tell the court?
Milady, we thought it was a housebreak. So my husband phoned me to ask me, how did I remember what happened? Can I remember? So I said, yes, clearly I can remember. And then he asked me to repeat why, how the events went. And so I repeated that to him, because we were both shocked to hear that Mr. Pistorius, that it was stated that he thought there was someone that broke in. Because that did not rhyme with what both me and my husband heard. We were shocked. We thought it was a housebreak. But I'm sure my husband will be able to explain his actions when he testifies.
Yeah.
I can't say what he was thinking.
But did he asked you if you could remember?
Yes.
And then you gave him the whole version that you remember?
Yes. And then he said to me, you won't believe, but I just heard at the office, it's in the news that Mr. Oscar Pistorius shot and killed his girlfriend, and it was stated that he thought there was someone that wanted to burgle them, that wanted to break in.
In your mind then,
yeah.
What's then ingrained in your mind is that, what happened? Mr. Pistorius shot his girlfriend.
Milady,
that's what I heard. He shot his girlfriend.
Okay, can you just repeat your question?
Then when he told you that, in your mind, you put one and one together and you say, Mr. Pistorius shot his girlfriend. Is that your understanding?
Milady, when I heard that, it was shock first, because I couldn't understand how that version of what was said in the media, he thought there was someone trying to break in. Did not make sense with what I heard, because the fear in that woman's voice, you only feel like that if your life is threatened. That woman, I never doubted her life was threatened. So it didn't make sense to me. I was shocked to hear that.
You initially thought it was a housebreaking.
Yes.
And you thought that after hearing both of them screaming.
Him calling for help, her calling for help, and her terrifying screams.
Yeah, but
and the gunshots.
That's what but when you heard him screaming, you also thought it was a housebreaking.
When I heard him call for help, I heard him call for help.
Yes, you still thought it was a housebreaking.
Yes, I definitely thought it was a housebreaking.
It didn't sound to you that someone is not really anxious and as if he's just screaming to make a noise and to pretend to cry for help. It was something that you associated with two people in trouble.
I heard two people, so I definitely thought I knew there's a man and a woman living there.
You associated both screams, according to you now, one coming from the woman, one coming from the man, as being that both of them are anxious, both of them are in trouble. That's what your association.
Well, I thought the man must be trying to call for help.
Yes.
The fear that really startled me was the fear in her voice. She was petrified.
Yes. Now,
that's what stopped me.
How did it work that you spoke about a red arrow pointing out Mr. Pistorius' house? How did that come about?
Well, firstly, I also saw on Sky News and CNN, I saw aerial shots on the television of the house. So I knew where the house was. And also, from a balcony, it's very clear where the house is. And my husband actually saw it on the television, and he said to me, he can't believe it, but I must come and look. Here's our house, there's Mr. Pistorius' house. We never realized we're so close. We didn't know where he lives in Silverwoods. It was unclear to us.
But at the time that evening or early that morning, you did not know that the sound was coming from that house.
I didn't know exactly what house, because I wasn't in the house, but I could definitely hear it was from Silverwoods. Due to the layout of the estate, I could say it was Silverwoods.
Could you see if the lights were on of the house, the lights were off?
I was sitting in my bed. I didn't go to the window to look at the lights, and also the house is a distance away. I don't know if I could see a light if I did try to look, but I never looked for any lights.
You had poplar trees in front of your house, between Mr. Pistorius' house and your house.
There's a few thin little trees there. There was a lot of open felt at the time between our house and his house. In recent times, they started building there and constructing houses. But at the time, there was only one house built, and it was a flat-roofed house, one level. So I could actually see Mr. Pistorius' house from my balcony if I wanted to look.
And how did the pointing out come about? Could you tell the court about it?
Well, with our consultation, there was a photo that was shown to me to ask where's my house, and I could see the house, and also which is Mr. Pistorius' house, and I could show that. Also, when we were standing on the balcony, the one photographer, Mr. Benny, I don't know what his surname is, he was there. The photographer for the police. He was also there, and he was taking pictures from our balcony because he could. And so we were standing with him on the balcony, and then we saw the house with him there, and he was taking pictures. So also a confirmation from him that that was the house.
When was that?
That was a couple of weeks after the event.
How long after your statement?
I did not take down the date, but I'm sure.
More or less.
No, I cannot confirm the date. Captain van Aert was also there that day. He'll be able to give the exact date. I can't say what the date was. Captain van Aert will be able to say the exact date.
When did you make your statement to Captain van Aert? Can you remember that?
Also a few weeks after the event took place. Once again, Captain van Aert will be able to give the date.
Do you know Mr. Peter Hall?
He's the developer of Silverstream. I do know him personally.
That you tell him about this event, the screaming and so on?
I did speak to him afterwards about what we heard because my husband phoned him that morning, milady. My husband phoned him to try and find out what happened in Silver Woods because we thought it was housebreak. And so he phoned Mr. Peter Hall, and I think also someone that does construction there that we know well, Mr. Willem Vos.
Now, if you think back, how many times did you hear the woman scream that night?
Milady, I didn't count the screams. I didn't go
More or
1,
less.
2, 3. Yeah, I didn't count the screams. There was the screaming when I woke up. There was the screaming when my husband was on the balcony. We made the call. Then there was the screaming moments before the shots. The shots followed, and I heard a voice again. I did not count the screams.
So it seems, but if you say you didn't count, it seems there was about on 3 occasions that you heard the screaming.
I heard the screaming when I woke up.
Yes.
I heard the screaming when my husband was on the balcony. I heard the screaming after the telephone call. I heard screaming with the shots and slightly afterwards, moments afterwards. I did not count them.
Now, if you like, my lady would just bear with me. I'm just finding the place. When you go to the... Yeah, I'm sorry, I've just turned my page. I apologize for that. I want to come back to this one aspect. Maybe I didn't follow your answer about Mr. Hall. What did you say? Why did Mr. Hall come to your house?
Milady, I never said Mr. Hall came to my house.
Did he not come to your house? Did he not come for a quote?
Milady, I don't know where this question's coming from.
Did Mr. Hall not come to your house to give you a quote on security?
Mr. Peter Hall?
Yes.
He never came to me. I never asked him to come to me to give me a quote.
If you don't know it, or he didn't come to your house, or you don't know it, then you can just say so. So you don't know that Mr. Hall came to your house.
What quote for what?
For security.
For security?
To improve the security. Can you remember that?
I never asked Mr. Hall to give me a quote for...
Do you know if your husband asked him?
What security are we speaking about? I don't know anything about it.
Well, if you don't know about it, then you don't know about it.
Yes, my lady, I didn't ask Mr. Hall to give me quotes for security and things like that. Mr. Hall's a developer.
I don't want to be unfair to the interpreter. That's why I want to come back to a point that's really important to me. And that's the dear mekaar, the confused, that you were confused. Or that it was a confusing night. Can you just explain that?
Milady, as I stated, that wasn't an evening as every other evening. When you go and sleep, you don't think you're going to wake up just after 3 hearing these petrifying screams and hearing gunshots. It's a abnormal evening. It's not something that would be. So what I tried to convey to the court is it's a dear mekaar. It wasn't an evening like any other evening. There were gunshots, there was screaming. I was awake, then I slept again. That's what I meant.
It also seems that after the event you have difficulty in remember all the steps taken. It was as if you can't remember exactly what happened and what did not happen after the shots.
Milady, my testimony is about what I heard up until just after the shots. That's what I heard. I heard her terrifying screaming. I heard him calling on for help.
Is your memory vivid after the shots?
Well, there's nothing that I can mention that I heard that's relevant to this case that I know of. So, just after the shots, her shouting died down, and that was the last I heard. So I can't say what happened 2 minutes afterwards. I can't say what happened an hour afterwards. I don't know.
Lady, would it be an opportune time? I need to go to some of the statements.
Yes. What's your time? What's the time? I just need to put
It's
that
about 10 to 4, my lady.
10 to 4. Yes. Tomorrow we're starting at site. No one has objected. Starting at 9:30.
Is it 9:30 tomorrow, my lady?
9:30.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Yes, 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 I know.